This came back last year
Oh yeah.
after how many years since Persona 5?
That shit was 2015 in the States or Japan, one of them.
Close to a decade.
Yeah, nearly for like a new entry,
Yeah.
which is interesting because last year they had whipped out 3 bangers, including this one with Persona 3 Reload, and then Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, and then this. But this is the true like new title that they're doing. The other one was a remake, and the middle one was an enhanced re-release thing.
They've been working, but they haven't been working on new material per se. And so this was their first new game, new IP, in fact, in a long time. They haven't done anything new outside of Persona or Shin Megami Tensei, and since the very start, essentially.
Yeah, no.
That's the first Persona. And it was widely celebrated at its release, was up for a bunch of rewards, did not, unfortunately, get, Game of the Year.
Yeah,
2024,
or whatever. What did from last year? Like Elden Ring or some shit, or Elden Ring DLC or whatever. Oh, was it? Okay. I don't remember. I don't pay that much attention to that. I mean, it's a thing that happens or whatever.
There's always so much to, parse through and
Sure.
get up in arms about. But if you don't really have stakes in it, then what's the matter?
Yeah, no, we're not in the industry, so we don't care about that sort of stuff. But yeah,
You're gamers.
we are gamers. Which I mean, I don't know, the show thing that we've been doing. We don't have a name for it still. We have the podcatchers, which is our like monthly cleanup or catch up thing of like all the pods we've captured and swept through individually. And then this show thing is like us sort of getting together and like, oh, look, we've honed in on a particular thing to like look at and dissect and go into. And for the past however many 3 episodes, we've been looking at movies sort of exclusively. And that's just because it's easier for 2 people to get together over discussing a film because like the time involved in that is so much shorter than say a fucking 100-hour plus JRPG. But this one happens to be something under both of our radars, and it's an overlap of like games that we like.
A lot of interest.
Yeah.
Because I have not played any of the Shin Megami Tensei games from Atlas yet, but I have played through all of the Personas. I played
All of them? Wait, how many are there?
There's Persona 1, there's Persona 2.
Whoa. There's Persona 1 and Persona 2. What is this news that I'm hearing?
Yeah, I know.
I've never heard of those.
You've never heard of it. You might have thought if you were,
I thought it started with 3 or 5 or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
I thought it was 5 and then they went backwards. I didn't even know they were made.
It just came out.
Yeah, I know.
Here. But the first and second, and then third, and fourth, and fifth. And now finally got to try my hand at a new Atlas title with a new world. And I was excited because I am a fan of all the Persona games. I wanted to see how they would tackle something different, something contemporary.
Totally. Yeah, because it's super important to establish, like, hey, this is a video game that sort of fits in with this wider series, because this game sort of, like, is trying to take a lot of aspects from a lot of different, from the mainline series and various sub-series of Shin Megami Tensei, which is a, like, sequel series to Megami Tensei. Shin just means new or whatever.
There are shared elements to each of the worlds that Atlas has created, and it shows up in this one that there are, connections to the Persona games, connections to Shin Megami Tensei.
Yeah, either through like minor references or entire like archetypes, like class systems in this, which are just sort of built off of them, and just a lot of gameplay elements. And I'd say overall the model is it feels like it's mostly constructed from Persona 5, which we'll get into, and then just from there it's been modified to resemble other aspects of the series as a whole, which Persona 5 is where I got my start, like many probably, in this series, and then I sort of worked my way backwards to 4, and then I played SMT 5, and then SMT 3 Nocturne HD Remaster, and then I went to back to 5 with Royal, and then 3 Reload, which recently came out, and then 5 Vengeance, and then this one, which those 3 were also all a part of last year, which was quite the year for JRPG fans.
There's something about the JRPG, franchise structure where it gets somewhat convoluted, to say the least, with your 1, 2, 3.
The series is very big, and they love their not only remakes, but also Atlas is sort of notorious for their enhanced re-releases. So Persona 5 is a video game that came out, and then a few years later they had Persona 5 Royal. Persona 4 and 3 also had this, where Persona 4 had 4 and then 4 Golden. Persona 3 had 3 and then FES, and then they also had Portable, and now they have remakes, so there's 4 versions of Persona 4. Or Persona 3. Let's see like how fucked it is. And then Persona 4 Arena Ultimax is an enhanced re-release of Persona 4 Arena. You know, it's like it's kind of fucked. And that's just like one like sub-series, because there's SMT, the mainline shits, which spun off from Megami Tensei, and then from the mainline series now, it's Persona is the main spin-off that's like bigger, and more people know about that than Shin Megami Tensei. And from there you have the dancing games, which are spin-offs of the Persona games, and then you also have the arena like fucking fighting game, and then you also have Persona Q and Q2, which are spin-offs of Persona 3 and 4, and then the second did you have fucking that, which is its own thing. Yeah, and there's like a number of other series, like there's Devil Summoner and Survivor and Digital Devil Saga, which I want to say that all of those have been borrowed from and placed into this game. The only like main thing that I saw was Digital Devil Saga, because I don't really know much about Devil Summoner or Devil Survivor. I just know that they exist, and maybe it's Devil Summoner is a thing in this game. It's a class archetype, like which we'll get into.
The name, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's stuff.
The appeal to Metaphor ReFantazio is that it is essentially a fresh start to this title. You don't need all of this baggage. We're explaining it all for context, but really, you don't need to have played any other game that they've ever made in order to play this one.
We're explaining it to show off our knowledge. Just like, you don't have to know all this to start playing it, but we do. Yeah. So here's us explaining the rundown.
Our credibility. You take for granted.
Yeah, and this one's quite interesting because most of the SMT stuff, they center around Japan. And it's usually some sort of like, okay, you're in the normal world and then the world gets fucked up somehow, and you either go back and forth between. It usually takes place in Tokyo, but if not, you're still in Japan somewhere, and you go back between that and some like sort of fucked up world where there's like a bunch of demons and stuff. Yeah, and in this one, for the most part, it's pretty much its own like fantasy thing. It's in the title, sort of, which is also sort of like, we'll get into it, but it's like, yeah, it does weird stuff with that. But it is that sort of like basic raw, like we are in a fantasy setting location and we are going full ham into that, from like how it looks to like the types of enemies you run up against, and just like, yeah, it plays into that. Yeah.
And it's a breath of fresh air, I think, for the series. It's nice to see them do something so
them branching out,
but executed very well. Just general opinions on this game, it is great. It's really good as a entry point to the series if you were looking for one, but also if you're just a fan of Atlas's games in general. It's incredibly polished, great story, great gameplay, as you've come to expect from the series. Honestly, I prefer this story to some extent than other Persona games, just because there's less of a conflict between tones where, I'm a happy-go-lucky full team fighting god. Instead you get your more realistic fantasy characters.
It's more grounded.
It's a little more grounded. Yeah, a little more totally consistent.
Despite the fact that we're in this totally other world, but it's it plays into that more. And my excitement or hype for the game started not like since its conception, because originally, like however many years ago, it was announced that like Atlas was working on this project Fantasy or whatever the shit it was called, and there wasn't really a whole lot of information about that. And then I think in 2023 they dropped like this announcement trailer, and that trailer is really great. It was all Japanese voices, but like it was just like a perfect showcase of like, here's this weird, wild, out there thing. They did like the Italian choir or like whatever thing. Is it Italian or is it Japanese? I don't know.
It's a real. I had to look it up.
Okay.
To figure it out. it's a a universal language that was, I think, developed in Poland.
Interesting.
Something that I've never heard anyone speak, but it's supposedly like one of the most, internationally spoken languages. As
Interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely a, creative and design choice, and I think it's really cool. Fits well with the music.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and in the trailer they were playing that music, and just like it looked fucking amazing, even though like like the frames in the video weren't there, and like some of the times it was like slightly blurry or whatever. But like the art style and the menus and just like the character, the 3D models to the goddamn portrait art to like the enemy design, like everything looked so flashy and colorful and like new and different, like just in that one trailer, and I was like totally just bombarded, like, oh my god, this looks like the greatest fucking thing ever. And like to know that it was coming out in the same year as Persona 3 Reload, which I'd never played Persona 3, but wanted to, but like didn't really want to. Yeah, it was on like old PlayStation things that I didn't have, and then also given like knowing that Five Vengeance for SMT was coming back, and like what that was relegated to the Switch only, and it was kind of crummy looking, and like it runs better, and they added more stuff to that. So like my excitement for just like added on top, it was like, oh my god,
it was a big year for Atlas.
I know. Yeah,
to enjoy all of it.
It was nice. But yeah, I would say this game is it could be a decent entry point for people, but I would almost say it's better for like sort of like a transitional game. Like if you're a fan of Persona games, like if you gave 5 and like more recently 3 a chance, then if you want to take the step further of like, if you're interested in like, I guess just other JRPGs in general, but also the mainline SMT ones, or even want to get into like the other various sub-series that it has, this is a good like transitional point, because the Persona games tailor very heavily to like casual audiences, where they have a lot of combat, they have like dungeon and exploration and shits, but it's usually somewhat simple, especially compared to the mainline SMT games and other sub-series. And this one strikes a good in-between of the story and character interaction that it has, and then also it places more emphasis on the dungeon and the combat than the Persona games. So it lies somewhere in between that mainline stuff, which is pretty much exclusively dungeon and combat, and some story in between, but the story is a lot less emphasized in those. And then it's somewhere in between that and the Persona ones. So I'd say it's a good, like, solid in-betweener there. For me personally, I sort of prefer the extremes of one or the other. In like both of these cases, where I think I prefer Persona 3 or maybe even 5 to this, as well as SMT 5 and maybe even 3 Nocturne. But it's still like a really solid experience overall. There's like my complaints, which we'll get into, that are fairly minor. It's just like some balancing things, and like I think it has some pacing issues, but that's partially maybe only if you do like every side objective, which it might be expected, like, oh, it's gonna take longer because you're doing random things. But yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, I think overall it's a really, really cool, solid experience of a video game that was made in recent times. That's my non-spoiler take.
Yeah. All right, those are our general opinions on the game. And from this point on, I guess we'll get into the nitty-gritty and the spoilers.
So get out of here if you don't want spoilers. I mean, we'll talk about gameplay first, which like there's not much, like, because when people talk about spoilers, it's mostly for this character is dead now or something, which we won't get into that probably, but like we might randomly. I don't know.
Speaking of gameplay,
oh yeah,
essentially it's taking the systems that have been established in previous Atlas titles, with your archetypes are in this game instead of your personas.
Oh yeah,
or your shadows. And they serve the same role. It's for anyone who has never played an Atlas title. It's essentially, it's similar to Pokemon, but better. I'd say it's classic JRPG kind of stuff, but with a lot more variety in terms of how you can tackle things.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked specifically the builds that you could do in this game as opposed to other games. I thought the freedom with your builds and your archetypes and your skill inheritance was a lot more accessible. It wasn't super expensive, so you didn't have to worry about grinding as much as maybe some other JRPGs, which I really enjoyed. Some of the late game archetypes that you have to end up unlocking.
Yeah.
The royal archetypes specific are rather hard to get.
No, yeah.
The requirements for those are maybe a bit too strenuous and tedious in order to grind. But I'd say overall the game is well balanced. If you're involving yourself in all the different systems of the game, then you shouldn't have a hard time making your way through the entire story. I only ever played on
same. Yeah.
But I know there's obviously a hard, and then there's like New Game Plus difficulty that.
Yeah. Or they're not 5 at the beginning. I forget how many there were. There might have been like a normal, and then like a hard, and then a harder, and then a baby in between that easy.
I know one is unlocked through
the
game.
Okay.
The first time, and then your hardest difficulty.
Sure.
But after spending 80 hours in the game, I didn't really feel the need to go back and play it.
Yeah, no. And I don't know how best to even start with like explaining the systems or whatever, because I figured it would be best to say like the press turn system is what it's called technically in the mainline games. I don't know if they have a term for it in this game specifically, but it's a pretty similar thing where it's the Persona games do it slightly different, where like all of them in general are about targeting weaknesses and stuff, and through that you get more turns in your round of combat. And if you hit someone's like if they block an attack through like weaknesses and resistances and that stuff, they like will mitigate turns, and it goes both ways. So there's like
there are certain skills that allow you to gain more turns, and then hitting a weakness will essentially halve your turn cost. And there are also weak points on enemies that can be exploited. There's a lot of detail in that system. It just allows for really satisfying moments.
Yeah,
and you can there are skills that you can use to inflict weaknesses. So then you can kind of have setup turns where you're buffing your team, setting up weaknesses on the enemy, and negating your own weaknesses, because your enemies can also inflict weak attacks and crits on you, which will then give them more attacks. There's a lot of really satisfying interplay between strategizing how best to tackle each opponent, which makes it really satisfying throughout most of the dungeons. I'd say a lot of the minute-to-minute gameplay, fighting a lot of the mobs are going to be somewhat brainless if you're just kind of clear.
Especially if you already fought them once. I think after you defeat them once, it'll just show like all of their information, which is really convenient. I think they did it in 3 Reload also, which this game was developed a little bit before they started working on 3 Reload. So there's like some borrowed ideas from like even that, but like not necessarily like the new things implemented in that were carried over to this necessarily. But yeah, and like the enemy weakness resistance stuff, like it's much more likely in these games that you'll be able to, that like the enemy will be able to nullify a thing versus you will be able to nullify a thing from them, because it does go both ways. But like in the mainline SMT games, it's much easier to set up like resistances and nullifications because of that entire demon summoning and fusion system, which overall I prefer that to the archetype system in this one. Part of that is just because I've had like however many, like 6 or 7 goddamn games like exploring that, because there's also Persona 5 Strikers, which is a Warriors type spin-off of Persona 5, which I played that one also. And yeah, and like to me there's like more customization and like more sort of possibilities there. And this is a good, like, not necessarily as complicated maybe, but like still like, you put some thought into it, and there's like stuff worth exploring and like different ways to go about things with them. But like, yeah, in general, it's easier to set yourself up like preemptively before like a boss fight or something. In the SMT games, it sort of emphasizes that a bit heavier with like nullifying enemy attacks and that kind of stuff, because it only for me really happened once for a string of boss fights near the end of the game, and that's one where they deal fire damage, and then like near the end of the game, like I think from defeating them and then also some other things, they'll like give you equipment which will nullify that, which is really the only way to nullify anything, I think,
outside of the
it's just like the accessories. There's like items and skills that will make you like repel an attack. That's only like one time use scenarios.
There are very few ways to completely nullify weakness. There are different, I guess, stages to weakness nullification. There is repel, there's block or resistance, and then there's nullification.
Drain.
And yeah, there.
But again, I don't think, like repel, there's like one equipment thing that gives you that. For drain, I don't think you could use drain at all. I think it's an enemy only thing in this one.
Yeah.
Not that too many people have it, I don't think, that it would go up against.
Yeah. It essentially, each of the dungeons are set up where your mainline dungeons, the missions that you're going to go up against through the story are going to be your more in-depth dungeons with a bit like some type of gimmick that you get to explore. Whereas the ones that you explore for side quests or other kind of bounties are a little more straightforward, where you're just exploring a dungeon more similar to stuff like Mementos from Persona 5 or other kind of endless dungeons, where it's not as engaging of gameplay, but you get to run around, earn experience, and stuff like that. So I'd say I liked how in some elements this game is pared down. Like you said, with the archetype system, it's not as in depth as the Persona system or the demons, but I think it works well for this game specifically because it's a lot easier to just kind of experiment and like play around with. I like how a lot of your companions, your characters that you play with, aren't really locked into any set archetype. They do have their, royal archetype lines that you want to go into, but really you could spec them into however you want, provided they get decent level ups. But it is nice to have that sort of freedom that is allowed.
Yeah, and for me, it's like, I don't know if I would call it like true freedom or sort of like, I forget the term for like this type of freedom, where it's like it appears to be true freedom, but it's really like you should do this one thing.
There is definitely.
It sort of feels like that a little bit, especially since they get like, here's the class they should truly be by the end of the game, and that one sort of because when you first get a character, they start on one archetype, which means they're probably good or decent on that, and then from there you're able to unlock further archetypes, which is based on your social ranks with characters who like you hang out with, because it's on a calendar-based system or whatever, which is borrows from Persona. And then from that, when you hang out with people, you're able to unlock certain archetypes of higher levels, or just like get them at all, because you get some of them through the story and some of them through the character interaction. And then from there, you can unlock them, and you put what's the source? Is it just SP skill points or something like that? Archetype points, AP. It's one of those. You assemble those through various methods, and you use those points to unlock different classes on different characters. And so you use it for that, and then you also use it for skill inheritance, where the skill inheritance, how many slots you have for that, depend upon the ranks, the social ranks as well. And so your archetype, as you get certain levels in it, separate from the character levels, as you get certain levels in that, you unlock certain skills for that archetype, but then you could also use those skills on other archetypes if you want to switch people around. And that's like, to me, that's like, if that didn't exist, it would just be like, I don't know, it'd be shitty. Because sometimes you start transitioning a character from one archetype to another. Maybe it's like a lower leveled thing, or just like a tier, like a type of archetype that they're not nearly as good at, or like, and so just to carry over certain skills is really helpful. Like there was this one, I think the knight gave it to you, but it was like this out of battle cheap heal skill. I used the fuck out of that one for like SP management, because it is on a calendar based sort of system. So I was applying the Persona rules, where it's like you want to get through the dungeon in one day to min-max the amount of days that you have in the game, which it's doing that is a lot more important in the Persona games, because those emphasize the like day-to-day scheduling of everything, where those games are a lot more tighter despite giving you more days. This one has less days in total to work with, but there's also overall like less things you need to worry about. So it's, I would say, more forgiving about the scheduling stuff. Like I think by the end of the game, I just had like 2 or 3 weeks where I was just like, I'm going fishing again, or I'm going to the hot tubs or whatever the shit, just to like, I don't know, whatever random stuff.
I agree that the scheduling system is definitely less important, and the emphasis more on the dungeons because the dungeons are much longer in this game. Specifically, the boss dungeons or like the mission-based dungeons. Because I remember the very first kind of like introductory dungeon you're thrown in.
That one's pretty long, like even compared to some of the other ones.
The game, but if you're going into it expecting something like a Persona-style dungeon where you can't just knock it out in one day, you're gonna quickly run into some resource management problems. Your MP is gonna be the most important resource you have to manage, more so than health, because MP is used to gain health back, but also do basically all of your damaging moves. So once you run out, there's only so much you can do in a dungeon. So that took a little for me to get used to. You can still, one day a dungeon if you have, your items or whatever that you can use.
Yeah, the first one was a bit of a struggle, but like I don't know, I got through it somehow. Because there's the mage where if you equip the protagonist with certain archetypes, it determines like how he hits. Because in this game, you begin combat in the overworld where you try to strike enemies and deal enough damage to them first, and then you get a preemptive sort of strike on them, which you get basically a free turn on them in addition to doing a little bit of damage. So if you don't get that off, it's a pretty big disadvantage you'll be sitting at. And if you like, depending on like which class you are, determines like your attack, like and like the timing of it, and like the full combos maybe.
If you're a warrior archetype, you're gonna have like a sword.
Yeah.
If you're a sniper archetype,
which I never got to. I only saw that in footage of like people shooting people away. I'm like, oh, that would have been really nice.
That's the only reason, because like the sniper archetype was maybe not the best combat wise.
Yeah.
For overworld exploration, it was incredibly useful.
Yeah, I bet.
Not to mention the fact that it has a bunch of like AoE damage that you can do from the back row to increase your
better for like not random encounters, but like the lower mobs.
In the clearing
like
a bounty dungeon or whatever, in order to just make it easier to explore and get your hidden items, whatever, in this tiny corner or stuff like that. But I think it's satisfying having the different overworld weapons to explore with. Although really it only matters for your main protagonists.
Yeah.
The rest of the characters don't really get that much use.
No, yeah, they like appear like when you're attacking, they'll like go in, and like sometimes they will do moves that will allow you to start the battle with the preemptive strike. But if you have mage specifically, if you kill dudes in the overworld, like if you're above a certain level, above the enemy, you just outright kill them. You don't even go into the turn-based combat. And if you do that with mage equipped, everybody restores like 2 SP or some shit, like a really small amount. So I would just go on that and then run around and like restore some SP. It's very specific because it only shows it when you're on the protagonist. Changing archetypes, it'll like say.
I never really had protagonist as mage, so I never figured that out.
Yeah, I think I figured that out because I was watching somebody else play it, like when it was coming out, and they did it because I think somebody in chat recommended it. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I could do that.
Very useful.
No, yeah, it was useful, but it was very slow because it didn't scale like as you went later in the game. So you just like get more SP, but then the two you still get just two. Yeah, so it's like I have to kill 9 enemies to do 1 skill rather than before where it was like maybe 3 kills or something like that. But I wasn't really too much a fan of the overworld combat, which part of that is like I was, I'm spoiled by like other action games that let me dodge or roll or parry cancel like as I'm in the middle of attack, because I was on like the cleric especially. I feel like I had this the most where like the attack swings were somewhat slow, and so the enemy would attack me when I'm pressing the dodge button, but I'm in the middle of an attack animation, so they just like hit me. Yeah, it's not the best.
Not super polished, and it feels obtuse with your control.
Yeah, it feels weird, and it's slow and delayed, and like. Yeah, like just give me the dodge roll cancel or block, but it doesn't.
As you get further into the game, you'll obviously,
you'll get a little bit more used to it, I guess. It's like when I was cleric, I was like more passive about it. I wasn't as aggressive, like go and spam the button. I guess I learned from that. I don't know.
When I was playing using sniper, I was super aggressive because
because you're far away and they can't hit you. Yeah.
And then get later on in the game and I switch out of sniper archetype, I kind of had to relearn my habit.
No, yeah.
If you jump into a a crowd of like 8 enemies in the overworld, then more than likely you're gonna get hit by at least one just randomly, because it comes with a certain amount of jank from enemy hitboxes and their animations rolling over yours, which feels bad. But if it's not a incredibly dangerous enemy, it's not gonna be too much of a disadvantage.
Yeah.
They get the attack off of you. But sometimes, if it is,
it does make the difference.
It does.
And yeah, it's sort of based on, I guess, the Persona games where you could get a preemptive strike on enemies, which Shin Megami Tensei 5 borrowed that, I think, from the Persona games. And then I don't know if 4 does. I think it's random encounters, like not in the overworld, where it's like in 5 and in the Persona games, it's like if you go behind an enemy and you smack them once, then you get that sort of a similar preemptive thing going on in this.
It is nice to make it easier to clear dungeons, just because there are a ton of mobs in every dungeon, and many of the time it's not worth it to really engage with them. But with this option, you get a nice little chunk of damage done at the very beginning, and then also if you're already over leveled, then you get to skip the combat entirely and you just get the rewards, which makes it a lot more enjoyable to actually engage with any of the enemies that you see instead of just running past them.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when you defeat them in the overworld, like if you're over leveled, you gain less experience and rewards from like defeating them that way than if you went into combat with them.
Where, if you were already over leveled, then why would you get the same amount of rewards for skipping combat?
Well, I think it's that, but also on top of just specifically in the overworld, if you defeat them there versus if you, with the same level enemy, if you go into combat with them and defeat them there, then you would gain more experience and money, I think.
The option to engage in combat with the click of a button instead of actually attacking them in the overworld, which will just bring it straight to the JRPG style.
But pretty much every time you want to try smacking them up, like whether they're higher level or lower, pretty much.
If you can get an enemy broken in the overworld, then it makes combat a lot easier. And for that. That's obviously why a lot of the bosses that you're going to end up going against cannot be broken. You just have to go in there with your own ingenuity.
Yeah, which is common in like the mainline SMT games and the Persona ones, where it's like you go up against like, or it's more common in the Persona ones actually, because in a lot of SMT games, still like a lot of the bosses they still do have at least a weakness or two to like go up against with them. But yeah, especially the Persona ones, it's a lot less like in the regular enemy encounters. It's all about the weaknesses, knocking down all out attack stuff. And then the bosses, it's a little bit different, because usually you trigger the all out attacks through like some random gimmick thing, if that does exist. And there's very few that actually take advantage of the weakness thing. Some of them do, like the Madarame one, and I think the Spaceman, I forget his name, I think he does that in some of his phases for 5. But yeah, most of them are not like all about that, and it's the same in this, I believe, also maybe in terms of like, I don't think many of the bosses have weaknesses. They either resist certain things or they're just like neutral to sort of everything, and it's mostly just about the buffing and debuffing stuff, which is also very common in these series. They change up the names in this, I think, maybe, or is it still like Tsukikaja and that shit? Okay, yeah. They change up the skill names for like the magic.
Yes.
Like instead of Bufu, it's Blizz or whatever the shit.
Yeah. But I think there are elements that are similar across the entire franchise.
Oh yeah.
But in this one, it's interesting because of the open world element to it. I'm interested to see how you liked the map. I thought it was really cool. I liked, getting on your Lance Strider and just rolling around. It also engages with the calendar system, because when you travel from one area on the map, like one city to the dungeon, which is 3 days away, you have to take that into account. But then there's other stuff you'll be able to do on the way there, either furthering your bonds with your companions, or reading in order to get your archetypes up.
Yeah.
Or not your archetypes.
Social stats, whatever they're called. Monarch.
I
think they're it's like something
virtues.
Virtues.
Yeah.
That's what they're called.
Yeah, you have 5 virtues as a king that you build up throughout the game by doing certain actions or activities, which will then allow you to access your bond levels. This is essentially a way to break up the pacing of the game in order to make sure that you're engaging with all the systems laid out.
Yeah, exactly. The Persona games, they do this also, where it's like they have the social stats, and like to hang out with somebody for certain ranks of their total hangout stuff, you need to be at a certain level of the social stat skill to like be able to talk to them in a good enough way. And they do stuff similar in this. And yeah, it's just basically like to make sure that like you need to go and like interact with these NPCs in like the overworld to like hang out with them and get your stats through that, or like there's a lot of ways to get courage in this one, specifically through the there's the bounty system where it basically has you like go out and fight bosses in like whatever varying like places, and then also there's a bunch of side quests, and the arena that you eventually unlock gives you courage as well. And I think the main line, the like main quest stories also give you courage,
which is so rewarded because that virtue has its scaling set differently.
Yeah.
Each of the virtues have different scaling, which is
also in Persona.
Needlessly, convoluted, and you don't really have to know.
I mean, us explaining this all at once is going to seem convoluted, but like you get introduced to all of these things in the game in such a way where it's not overwhelming, and especially if you're carrying over from the Persona games, like you're going to be familiar with these things anyways. So it's just going to be like, oh, okay, that's this thing.
Essentially, these systems are just set up to pace the game.
Yeah.
Essentially, like, oh, I won't be able to talk with this character on level 6 until I get my virtue of courage up to 4 or whatever. And that, you kind of get the idea that maybe I can put off this relationship for now and then focus on others. And it kind of just guides you in that way. But the overworld, or I guess the map exploration, I found really fun, just in general, because the world is really good. Like I like this world of, what is it, Uchronia?
I forget. Yeah.
But it is fun to explore, and you get those little moments.
Vistas.
The wonders, which is a lot of fun, and then that goes into your bonds with Maria specifically, which was a lot of really cool. And then on the ship, you get just time to more explicitly hang out with your crew members, which is fun because you get to just learn more about them. And I'd say this is a really strong cast.
Oh yeah, we haven't said that. We probably should have said that in the the non-spoiler section, but we still haven't really spoiled anything yet.
We'll discuss more as we talk about characters.
I think they're pretty well rounded also.
I like the cast. I think in general the writing is pretty great throughout. But what else did you have?
For the I like the runner stuff also. Like it just adds another layer to like planning out stuff, because it's like, oh, this thing is 2 days away, this thing is 3 days away. I have these objectives to accomplish. Like the map is for the most part pretty useful in laying out like, here's these number of things in this location, and then on the way you could hit like this thing also, sort of thing. I do remember though having to switch between the menus sometimes for the gauntlet runner to like determine here's where you go on the map, and then it'll show you like the things that like you have there, but you can't like go in and see specifically what they are necessarily, so you have to leave that menu and then go to your quest menu and then read what that quest is to like see just like the info about it and the rewards and stuff. And so that was a little annoying if they on the gauntlet runner map just kept that in like the same like menu flow, so I could just examine, oh, that's this quest in this location. It has re-release, which I don't think they're doing for this one. Luckily, no. And like the Gauntlet Runner, I think overall, it's a good thing. And the world itself, pretty much everything surrounding the story and characters, I think they're good. I don't necessarily think they're the greatest like stuff ever, and like there's a lot of it doesn't like necessarily stick out a whole lot to me in many ways, but it's like it feels sort of reminiscent of Persona 5 in terms of its structure, which we'll get to, but like it is overall just good. I would say it's not like the greatest thing ever, but I did like it.
The themes that they engage with are maybe the coolest aspect of it, despite how convoluted it gets towards the end.
Yeah.
We'll get into the story, but it does get rather, I feel like it's by the books Atlas. They like to get weird in the final stages of the game, for better or for worse. But I do think that the map system allowed you to engage with the calendar system in a new way, and also it kind of forced you into using your informant in order to get I guess
knowledge about stuff, which is super helpful in this series where it emphasizes weaknesses and resistances a lot. Like I would, it's something that sort of I feel like has been needed, because in like the mainline SMT games, it's kind of just like I look them up, I guess, to see like their resistances and weaknesses and stuff.
It forces you to browser, not force you, but it makes it a lot more palatable.
Yeah,
easy to play. Otherwise, you're gonna be,
struggling your way. Yeah. But like the other thing they do to combat this in this game is the reset button while you're in combat itself, which is huge. And I definitely took advantage of that a couple of times for like when I was ambushed by the enemy from my cleric shenanigans. And like it'll like reset the RNG also. So like sometimes attack will miss, and sometimes they'll like
kind of uncommon for
I know
that has like a rewind aspect to it. It's like for the most part, many games force you into whatever RNG you roll with. So you can't just like essentially soft reset the game. This one, it is nice.
It's a retry battle from the start, and everything has been randomized in that way. So I was able to like just sort of spam retry until okay, I'm good now, and I could run away or whatever, and without having to use like revival items outside of combat or whatever.
There are obviously ways to avoid combat.
Yeah,
you're already in it just by running away or escaping through other means.
Yeah, it's like one step away from perfection though, because I feel like I'm cool with the reset from the start of combat thing. But I would almost like a reset from right before combat, like either in the overworld or just like give me the menu of like, so I get set certain characters in my party or give them certain archetypes or different skills to like, oh, I'm going up against this thing now. Because also when you reset, like if before you strike enemies' weaknesses, like different elements and stuff, it'll save those. So like what they're weak or resistant or neutral to by like your first thing around. So it allowed me to certain like mini bosses, I would do it if I didn't want to like look up each thing each time. I would just like spam them with attacks for like a round or two and then reset and then be like, okay, this is what I should be doing.
Another quality of life thing that I would have like implemented is like, yes, the informant that you can access through the cities in order to purchase I guess a battle plan almost, where you figure out what your enemy's weaknesses are going to be for that dungeon. But then you have to go through your inventory to see that piece of paper and then read it again in order to
it's weird.
Like it would be nice to just, if you have that purchased, but then have that be able to be drawn up like at the start of a dungeon, or like be able to pull it up at the start menu or whatever.
Because I did bounce between that. Like I think when I was trying to navigate also, but like deciding which place to go. Because like and then also when I was in the dungeon itself, like when I first got there, I'm like, oh yeah, what am I doing again? And I have to check which quest I'm at, because there's times in the games where you get like 10 of them or something, and so you have to check which one you're currently positioned at and then go read the informant message about, because when you get the informant thing, it will update the quest to say like it does this thing or this thing now maybe. But it's only like a summary of the actual like full information, that you want to like look at. So it would be nice if there was like a button you could press there to read the full informant information from the quest, and it would be also nice further if that entire thing was also just on the map screen.
But good with the bad, it's a good step.
Yeah,
and I'd like to see it implemented better.
If you want to complain about menus more, there's also, I talked about this in the podcatchers also, but it reminded me of fucking Animal Crossing, where it's like there's some shops where you could just buy like any number of things that you want. You just there's like an item selector, and you just go to the thing, and then you go up or down. I'm like, I want 5 of these things. All right, cool. But sometimes there's these fucking shops where it's like, hey person,
I
do
don't
you
understand the-
you want this thing? And then the protagonist's like, maybe I should purchase this thing. And then Gallica, the little fairy companion person, is like, I don't know if you need this right now. This thing will do this thing. Are you sure? And then you have to select yes. And then the person will thank you for buying the thing, and for like 2 lives, and then you exit the menu, and that's one purchase. That's one fucking item, and you just like you have to spam that over and over again. It's like it feels so weird. Like why not give the same like menu? Because for like the fishing bait, I think, and like some other thing, like you could buy it from there. So it's like it's weird. Like why? Who decided this?
Why these specific vendors, and there are like a few scattered throughout the game, like in different cities.
Yeah,
it is really, really strange. I haven't, in my, I guess, looking around at other reviews and like other.
I don't think we're the only people on the planet complaining about this, which is good. We'll be those people to go into the specific shits because it's like it's weird.
There's no, justification for it.
No
reasoning behind it, and it does take you out, and it makes.
For me, it takes me out because I'm like, I'm reminded of like this slow ass video game where it's like I go into the Nook Miles thing and I purchase an item and it takes like 5 fucking years to get like one item because I think it boots you out in like New Horizons, the most recent one. Like there's a TM you could like purchase items in, and I think it like boots you out each time for each individual thing you want to buy. If I remember correctly, it's silly.
It's a pain, but it is usually not the most pressing items to purchase, but sometimes it is, and like if you're trying to do a specific thing, it grinds.
Like not a big deal in this 100-hour RPG where I'm spending 10 extra seconds or however long pressing A. Yeah. There's more A presses involved, and I'm not a fan of.
You're mashing because like it's not really.
I don't want to mash in this turn-based RPG where I could take my time.
Yeah, a lot.
And also, there's so much time in between swings in the overworld. Like, I don't need a button mash for that. It's 1, and then, he's coming in again. 2. Yeah, fluid. Oh, yeah. Like, in the overworld, there were times where, like, I wanted certain skills on certain characters, but then in combat, I wanted different ones. Mm-hmm. And, like, for me, it was weird because, like, I had to go in, like, to the overworld. For the most useful skill outside of combat was that Knight, like, cheap heal skill that I spammed a lot. And so, but I didn't necessarily want that equipped onto them when they went into combat. Like, I wanted something different. Yeah, and, like, and so what I was questioning is, like, why am I not allowed to just, in the overworld, have access to every skill they've synced, that they've like bought, that each character like will buy, like you'll buy sync skills for them that they could use on any archetype. So why not in the overworld can I just access those in the skill menu? But instead I have to go to the archetype menu and then go to their archetype they're currently equipped to, and then sync the skill, and then go out the menu, use that skill, and then go back into it to like put me into that. So like, yeah, it was silly.
There are elements that I would love Atlas to implement, like, have either...
It's just quality of life stuff.
Like, be able
to... Oh, yeah, sure.
Builds would be really cool, but...
That would be nice.
It's never been implemented before.
Yeah.
It's unlikely they will, because it is kind of a franchise that is built upon, the legacy of its predecessors.
Mm-hmm.
So, making new stuff like that is definitely something that would piss off some fans. I'm sure it is. But, for general gameplay, it would make it so much nicer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's the regular skills you get on your archetype, and then there's the sync ones, which you could borrow from other archetypes that your characters have unlocked, and you pay whatever currency to put them on to other archetypes. And then there's the synthesis skills, which are some borrowed from Digital Devil Saga, which is another sub-series of SMT. And in that game, you control 3 party members, and you like have this sort of wide skill tree that the characters can like. Each character starts on a different part of like the shared overall skill tree, and from there they sort of can go to like adjacent nodes within that once they like max certain ones out, and then once they max out a particular like part of that skill tree, they get like a bunch of skills that can just be like turned on and off or like swapped at any time from there. So that's sort of the sync skill stuff that is, I guess, also borrowed from that same series. And then the synthesis stuff is like when your party members of particular archetypes match up, they're able to utilize certain skills that use more turns, but they're sort of stronger in power. And Digital Devil Saga did that with I can't remember if it was by character to character or if they had to equip a certain part of the skill tree. I think it was just if they have a particular skill and a different party member has either the same or like a different particular skill, it'll sort of like make some sort of like fusion attack
Synthesis.
based off of that. Yeah.
As opposed to here where it's synthesis archetypes.
Yeah, it's based on archetypes.
I like them a lot in this game. I think they add, just another dimension because they are.
Yeah, to like deciding like your overall party setup, because you already have like, I want this character on this thing, but now you might want them on this other thing because since your other character is on this archetype, then that'll pair up well with like whatever, which on normal mode I wasn't like super like, yeah.
But as you get into the late game and you have more archetypes unlocked,
they do get pretty useful.
A lot more fun to kind of build around that. There's a specific one I think with the general line, warlord, one of those.
Yeah.
Where you had
like the AoE buff or something.
AoE buff, yeah, just like max out all of your stats, which is incredibly useful.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also stuff like that where you can debuff the enemy. Like that amount of stat swing is really big, and so you do have to spend more energy to get that off. But essentially, if you can keep that up, then you can steamroll through an entire combat scenario, which is a lot of fun. And then there are also other synthesis skills which will let you set up weaknesses or do just like a ton of severe damage to one.
Yeah, they'll usually do like a higher tier of damage than what you initially have access to in those archetypes. And yeah, they're also useful. Just like sometimes they give you elemental things that you may not have equipped, and they might provide like for however many points you have to spend with them, they will give you that many blinking icons in the press turn thing. Which this press turn also, it's specifically the version of original SMT5 and the older ones, but SMT5 Vengeance changes it a little bit where it's nicer, specifically where if you have a blinking icon in this game and then you use if you use any action that wouldn't give you another blinking icon, it will get rid of that blinking icon.
Because it like halves it, and if it's already halved, then it uses it.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
But I think if you do like a pass in the other ones and you already have a blinking icon, if for Vengeance specifically, if you have a blinking icon and then you do a pass, then it'll give you another blinking icon rather than just cutting out that other one entirely.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
It was a little because that happens sometimes in Metaphor where if you are able to set up like a 3 energy cost. Attack, but it's weak.
Yeah,
all of them will be.
Yeah, then it's basically like you're not really losing the turns necessarily. Like it will get to it, the turn will cycle through less characters because like you're using up that many blinking turns compared to like if you individually one by one got those blinking turns.
But if 3 of those turns out of your 4 energies are halved, then the next attack that you do that is weakened will use that one, but it'll use it from the halved one instead of utilizing that 1/4 turn that is still like a full turn. And it is something that you learn to play around. It's not too difficult to kind of deal with. The synthesis skills do have like an extra level of expense though, because it costs SP from both of the units that are involved.
Yeah, which is a big deal. I don't think I realized that until like somewhat later. I'm like, why is this person's SP so low when this person has been doing the things? But yeah,
all of the synthesis skills not only cost more energy, but they cost more SP. So they are, they're tough to get out, and they are expensive for your resources.
Which makes sense because they're so powerful.
You want to use them when you're up against a boss or some kind of like mini boss that are a lot more difficult to deal with. But they definitely dictate the course of your run without a doubt.
Yeah, and in terms of archetypes, I don't know if we want to say what they do. It's like this Jungian psychology thing, which I don't know. We could talk about that later, I guess. It's basically like the same type of things they're borrowing from in like terminology and stuff.
These games love delving into Jung's ideas of psychology, and
they love them, man. They love them. I mean, that's the entire his persona. Like the name from that is borrowed from his term.
It's the same idea here, where instead of having a gun to shoot yourself, or what are all the other ways to access
tearing off their mask, and 4 it's just like there's a card in front of them and they attack it or something. I don't know.
This one's it's pretty metal. It's more similar to 3, where you rip your heart out which is really evocative and leads to some cool moments as your characters and your teammates will unlock their archetype.
Very similar like cutscene structure of like Persona 5 and 3 Reload sort of also does it, where like each cast member, as you get them, they have like this awakening moment where it's like, I'm getting the power to kill stuff better now.
Yep.
They do that in this one, which is quite nice, in this one as well. And yeah, like the archetypes, I don't know how well balanced necessarily they are. Like we mentioned, Gunner is like on the weaker side of things because like they tried doing like weird out there things with some of them, but like the mage class is like just so good because it's like if you want anybody to have any like basic magical skill, you have to go through them specifically because they give ice, electric, and fire. They don't give wind because that's through Seeker. And I forget who else has that. I think Gunner might actually have one. And also Devil Summoner, yeah. Like they have that also, but that's like an expensive like AoE thing and like not very specific. But like if you want the single target or like AoE spell attack damage, it's like you go to that person. If you want buffing and debuffing, you go to the Trickster or whatever it's called. So it's like, and if you want the buffing, it's the what's the dude, the general. So it's like it's sort of this like weird thing where it's like I don't know. I guess like some of the main ones you just keep them on that thing, and then every once in a while, if you want them to have a particular other skill, because you get experience through combat, you get archetypal experience through that, and then they also give you these items which just like, if you don't really want to use them in combat, they just give experience to a particular character for a particular archetype. So that'll help like catch them up in a certain level if you want them to just get to a certain point in that archetype where they could just immediately sink a skill or two or something like that. So those are pretty useful.
Very convenient, especially as you get further on in the game where you get more access to these level boosting artifacts. And they become more widespread. So it's a lot easier to just get a build up and running without having to deal with grinding. There's less emphasis on grinding in this game, which I do like.
For the most part, yeah. There's like some stuff towards the end where like the level scaling of it gets a little out of whack, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know if we should say that now because it's part of the combat gameplay stuff, or it's. I mean, it's related to the story, but it's like a side objective. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
We can talk about it later. Whatever.
Sure.
But like I don't know what else. My note says Elementa, which is like the random dudes that show up, and they're sort of like the equivalent of like the Mitamas from the SMT games or the Golden Hands in Persona 3 and 4, where they're like these enemies that like provide, I guess, like more experience. And the Mitamas in SMT, they give you various things depending on which one they are. Like one of them gives you more money, one of them gives you a lot of experience, one of them gives you a lot of some other items or some shit. And the elemental dudes in this, you like fight them and they're like got a ton of health or whatever, but if you can smack their weakness up, they give you way more experience.
You have to do it within a turn because
they'll just run away. And that's the same thing the Mitamas do. And then the Golden Hands, they give you a little bit longer to fuck around with, but they have no weaknesses, so you have to get lucky with criticaling them, and they also dodge quite easily, so they're bastards. But yeah, like the enemy design in general is very reflective of like we are in this medieval fantasy thing. Like you are going to go up against skeletons and dragons and wolves and goblins and trees and big moths and stuff, and like it's like basic on that level, but like the designs of them I think are still quite nice and refreshing. They're very colorful and vibrant. The
art style is great. You come to expect a certain amount of style and UI design from
the menus are great. I don't know how it was for you since I played the demo for this for like the intro part, and it gets you like the first 4 or 5 hours or so, and in that the game starts you with like a crappy like simple menu, and then after a certain point you unlock like the cool epic one. Was that how it was in the main game, or did you just get it from the start?
Get it from the start,
the epic one.
There's definitely at the very beginning. I couldn't tell if I was off put by it because there is so much like UI style and like it's kind of busy to some extent. Like there's a lot on the screen at all the time. And so
you spend a lot of time there.
So as you get, more ingrained in the world, a lot of the systems kind of fade to the background, and you kind of know what to focus on and what to tune out. But if you like take the time to, kind of log back in and really appreciate all the art, it is excellent. I think all the character design is also great, as well as, just the monsters in general, especially the humans.
The humans.
A whole lot taken from.
Which again, the humans, we haven't got into that because we're not talking story yet, but the humans are like, not people, they're like the monsters, like the boss monsters that are weird and fucked up and or whatever. And yeah, I mean, like, the enemy designs, like what they are is basic. I've seen this a million billion times. There's like slimes and stuff also, but like I've seen it a billion times, whatever. But like the specific way in which they're done, how they're portrayed, like are quite nice. And like, I mean, you could give me a skeleton with armor and a sword, and like I'll be in love with it every time, probably. So it's like
it's hard. It's just something that's so standard across any game that your expectations for it are never gonna be, super low or high. It's a standard.
No, yeah. I don't know, to jump around, to just finish up whatever random shit my notes have. There's like 5 days in a week compared to our usual and superior 7, but they have 5. And there's one called Idols Day, which gives you 20% off at the shops and stuff. So I've used that to stack up like when I would buy the informant stuff, and also just like other random items, because pretty much most of the shops had that 20% discount, and that would like further add a thing of like, oh, I don't want to go necessarily to this place yet, which takes 3 days, and Idle stays tomorrow, and I want to buy a thing on that day, so instead I'll do this sort of thing. So it's that further, at least for me, I sort of planned around the saving money type of situation, even though I don't think it matters too much. I think money is somewhat easy to come by. It's that other material, which I forget the name for, but the skill point shits, like those are a bit harder to come by than money. And also you could transfer those points to money, which I never did. Yeah, because that's like annoying and weird.
You get like the lower end of those resources, then
like it would be cool if you could convert money to that, but like the other way around, it feels like you're just kind of wasting those, like that resource type of thing. And then also, I don't know, weather plays a fairly big deal in this one. Like in the Persona games, it mattered for 5 a little bit, where the rain or fog or pollen season or whatever would affect enemies and mementos to like have certain behaviors of stuff. And in this one, it would just like, if you go to a place that has a certain weather condition, you would just be kind of completely screwed over.
It's like
because it's
There were a few of the endgame dungeons that went in without realizing that weather hit, and so
when it hits in a bad way.
All of the time, it will remove the benefit that you have from doing weak attacks.
Yeah, you don't get the blinking turn icons, which is huge. It completely like it turns regular encounters into like, oh shit, I need to lock the fuck in. And it takes like twice the time, and it's tough. And there's like the pink ones, which can be gotten rid of from like a weather person. Like you go to the weather forecast person, and they could also get rid of it.
I don't think they can get rid of it.
It's because there's the dude. I forget his name in my notes. It's like Edeni, I think. And you feed him, and he gets rid of bad weather conditions and stuff. Which I did use that a lot.
It's just another kind of element that feeds into the calendar system, because you'll be like, okay, it takes me 3 days to here to get to this.
Yeah, and you can only see up to today, tomorrow, and the day after, I think. Or was it tomorrow, day after, and the day after that? I think it was today, tomorrow, day after.
Yeah, something like that.
And you can only see that far into the future for weather conditions. So
you have to plan around that. You got to plan around the enemies that you're going to go there with. And it all kind of builds into a more of a cohesive dungeon running experience. Each dungeon, you kind of have to do your due diligence in order to actually get anywhere with. Because even while the game is maybe not incredibly difficult, for the most part throughout many of the dungeons.
On normal mode.
you will, like, even in the, weakest dungeon there is, I don't know what that would be, you can still die very easily if you don't have your archetypes set up well, or your party set up with, damage nullifications, or, attacks that will use their weaknesses against you. Or if you go into it with weather, then it's just going to make it way more difficult.
Yeah.
So none of the combat is forced to be like brainless or completely ignorable. There's stuff that you have to engage with basically throughout the entire game, and it's not like it's taxing to try and engage with all these things. It's just something that requires intent, and it makes it a lot more fun, in my opinion.
Yeah, I forgot what my reply was to that, but yeah, I agree. I forget, but like, it does, like, there's a lot going on, and there's like a lot of things to consider. Oh yeah, in the like quest menus, it'll usually indicate to you like, here are archetypes maybe recommended to use, and that would give you like some indication maybe of what to expect there.
Levels.
Yeah, and they would be like in diamonds and be like, okay, I should go in order of doing these things. Because I did watch somebody go to a particular dungeon before doing another one, and they got kind of completely fucked over.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the main dungeons, some of them do take longer than others. Like there's the Dragonlance Shinjuku or whatever, which is that there's the Dragonlance thing which you go to for UFO or whatever, and that one's like an hour long, and then you transition from there immediately directly into like this underground like different place thing. It's the Dragonlance and then Dragonlance Shinjuku. Or am I thinking of the wrong? There's multiple things that have dragon in it.
Going through the temple, and then you go
into like the grassy shits. Yeah, that's what I was referring to. Yeah, okay. And then you go into that, and that was like maybe 4 hours itself. So the total thing is like 5 maybe. Yeah. Which, if I'm trying to remember, because I think for Persona 5 it was somewhat similar in length almost, but like and those games also are known for the beginning of the game almost being more difficult than the end of it because of the resource management aspect of it, both in terms of the amount of days you have, you want to do it all in one day, and then at the very start of the game, you're going to have the least amount of resources to consistently refill your SP. And it's sort of similar in this, where as you progress, you get more ways to refill your SP as you go about things. So yeah, it's similar though.
There's a lot of things that you have to worry about when you're dealing with the boss dungeons or the story dungeons, because they are usually longer, and then also have some sort of gimmick attached to it, whether that be the enemies that you're going to be dealing with there,
the giant ears with knives and they jump around or whatever the fuck that was.
It turned it into like almost a stealth game.
You just had to time up your walk cycle with them. And I don't know.
It does, I guess, make each dungeon unique and engaging, but there's also the problem where it's specifically for the Shinjuku one, where you are like, it's already, you're 3 hours into it.
No, it took forever, yeah.
And then you're trying to run around these unkillable enemies that, will basically kill you in one turn if you go up against them, so you just have to avoid them.
Mm-hmm.
But they are blocking your way from getting, certain items, your chests, and it's just like, it gets exhausting at points, but I think overall it's fairly well balanced for most of the core,
because that one's pretty long. The first one's pretty long, and then like I'm trying to think, like, but some of the ones near the end maybe, but like I don't think any of them hit that like 5 hour mark. It's like that one and then the first one maybe, or just the two of them. And then, but outside of that, it's just a lot more of like shorter bursts of things, where the Persona games, for Persona 5, it's like, here are these dungeons which take 4 to 6 hours long. And then you have mementos, which are sort of split up, but they get to take like similar amount of times, like, but anywhere from maybe 2 to maybe 4 hours, like slightly shorter, depending on your session of that. Of like those things broken up. So it's a lot more of like, I'm doing hella dungeon followed up by hella time, free time interaction stuff. And this one felt like way more intermixed in terms of like, I go do friend hangout stuff right now, and then I go to the dungeon, and then it takes me like in real time, maybe like an hour or two. Because a lot of like the smaller ones that you go to more of them in total than like the Persona ones, but a lot of them take up less time. And there's like a lot of shared like fucking asset reuse between them. Like all the forests are like the same. It's just like slightly different in appearance. Like the caves have like two different versions. There's like a cave, and then there's like a crypt tomb type of thing, and like there's you feel it the most near the end of the game for the dragon end game quest, where it's the three towers, two of which you've already probably have gone through if you've been doing everything diligently already, because there's side quests in there, and you have to go in there again. And they don't take long to traverse, like to go up them, but it's like it feels silly to go from like one tower to like, here I am in the exact same. They look the same
because the map, you need to travel to these places once again, so it takes days off.
Yeah. By that point in the game, though, you have the flying one where you pretty much go stuff like instantly.
So it bugs my brain because like with this calendar and map system, it's all about for me it's all about min-maxing and getting the most like strategic and efficient route to we're gonna hit this quest on here, we're gonna hit this quest right here, and then it's all gonna take 3 days, and then when I come back, then I'll have enough days to get my rank up with this bond.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when you have to kind of go back to a location, it just feels a little less satisfying. But it's not too bad because of, like you said, you have access to flight at that point, which means that, and you can go anywhere on the map essentially by just flying. And I guess we haven't talked about the fast travel element where your Strider has.
Oh yeah, I forget at what point in the story. I don't know if we could touch on it there because I don't really remember how they explain that. But there's like in the fucking Gauntlet Runner power room thing that controls it. It like matches with you or something, and you control it in such a way where you can put. Yeah.
But
it justifies it in some way, but it's so like you can go from one world section to others.
You essentially get to fast travel between cities, and each of like the larger cities that you get access to will have different vendors or different people, different support members that are there. So you kind of have to bounce back and forth, which is definitely more convenient once you have access to teleportation.
Oh yeah, for like the Gauntlet Runner shit. I mean, you talked about this a little bit, but yeah, like you're able to cook, which the cooking you're able to do it usually takes up free time, but if you hang out with this child enough times, you get to do it super quickly. And that also provides like a small amount of character interaction where, depending on what thing you cook, I think determines like which party member might assist you on it, because it's like a regional thing or whatever. And you get to read books which increase stats, as you said, and those things supply based on which party member you have. So you pretty much get all of them through that, but there's one that requires you to interact with a specific NPC in the water city thing during a specific part of the story. And if you don't do that, you miss out on all the books, which is like the book achievement in the Persona games is usually pretty annoying. In 4, it's really dumb because it depends upon like for 2 of them, it depends upon like the strength arcana, the basketball soccer dudes. And depending on which one you choose, you have to be at certain ranks with them at a certain date. And if you're outside of that range, you just completely fucking miss it. And you have to specifically attend their hangout events also, which takes up a day of time. So it's like a weird achievement in that. And there's like, I think in each of them, I think 3 and 5 also, they have like timed, like you have to get this book or else you miss the thing. And this one has just one of them, but it still like exists. And it's weird to me because it's just like a random, I think it's a rival dude. Like someone else sort of trying to win the throne tournament thing. They like, I don't even remember, they like just get on your ass and just like start rambling about some random thing, and they're like, here, read this book, it'll educate you or something. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
No, yeah, I literally, as I was looking up like, oh, I should maybe try to get all the books, like right as I looked that up is when I had access to that. So if I looked up like maybe a day, like real time day later, I would have been like, oh, I'm already past that point in the story, so I'm fucked.
That might have happened to me. Definitely, I don't know if I had any achievement running, hunting goals in mind when I was playing this, but there was, I guess the the overall quality of activities, I'd say in this game are pretty standard for Atlas titles. I'd say the Persona games have a more slice of life aspect to a lot of the.
They have more varying things you could do, which offer like more varying like rewards and stuff. Yeah,
Pared down and maybe less enjoyable in that aspect, because towards the end of the game, once you already have all your virtues maxed and your bonds maxed, you're left with very few activities to actually do.
What did you end up doing? I just went fishing and hot springs for the.
I ended up using the washing machine a lot.
The washing machine.
Yep.
Okay.
And then also
it increases max SP.
I would hit up the springs and get
the archetype things, which for I touched upon this a little bit in our Podcatchers episode where I was playing this, but yeah, it feels like as you progress from one region to another, like all the previous things you could do there just kind of become obsolete, because you will get like for the social stat virtues, like the ones like the characters the NPCs that you interact with, they'll provide you more just in that new location than they will in the previous one. It's just like less I don't know, less interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
Like it's fine, it exists, it's whatever.
I guess it's because you need access to each of the virtue boosting activities in each city to make it more accessible that way. But also if you have copy and pasted the activities in every city, then it's less enjoyable.
Yeah.
But we could have had more unique ways to upgrade compassion.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just sitting there.
I think that was wisdom for like you sitting on the bench and you'd observe stuff.
Just look at the city.
I mean, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I'm gaining knowledge from looking at people from afar or something.
To skip through.
No, I know. And because there's one of the things, I don't know if you ever tried this or came across it, but there's podiums in each city that you could go on and you make a speech, and then on certain times there's like debates against each of the dudes, and there's an achievement for debating everybody, which I think I missed because I don't know, there was like someone towards the beginning in like an earlier stage that I missed. So I missed like the first one or two, and then I did everybody else. So it's kind of like, oh, oops.
Yeah, because like that boosts your eloquence, which is another bird.
Yeah.
But like eloquence isn't the most necessary skill to boost.
And it's fairly a doable one. And usually I think the game somewhat is balanced around, for the Gauntlet Runner specifically, I think it tries to balance which characters give you certain social stats based on your progress on the game, depending on like, okay, now you're in this stage of the game, so you're probably at a point where you're trying to get this stat to get it with this character, which like you're only going to find those things through looking them up in advance, or like you get halted because it's like, oh, I need this stat suddenly, and then you have to go like plan for that thing. And yeah, like a lot of those things specifically, where either the debates or hanging out with the people on the runner, you get like different options of things to say. And then depending on that, you get more points. I would reset on all those. Same thing with the books also, because Gallica would be like, what do you think about this thing? And I'm like, the option A. And she'd be like, did you just choose option A, you fucking dickwad? I know I didn't. I'm erasing that from history. That did not happen in my can.
Yeah. There are like the RPG elements in any of these Persona games.
Which I would reset also in Persona games.
It's very,
for that sort of stuff.
Bare bones. You're not making any, game altering decisions, but you get I guess bonus points if you choose that decision or whatever. Yeah,
which also carries through in the conversations. You get more whatever the archetype points are instead, because in the Persona games it's like you have to get 10 music notes, but you only get 9 of them or something, so then you have to hang out with them an additional time outside of that. Or you could try doing in Persona 4, there was like this fortune telling thing, and it'd give you either a small, medium, or big boost. And the small and medium boost really sucked ass. So you'd have to constantly reset for the big one to get to be efficient with time. Except you're not efficient in time in real life, because you're playing these long-ass JRPG games that require you reset 20 times. So that one character will like me more. Just fucking just let me hang out with you again.
And it's like it's not even that necessary, because like you said, the pacing is such that like, while we are really engaging with all these systems, it is balanced around that even more casual players, if you just play through the game, you'll end up at the same point we are.
Pretty much,
You
yeah.
get, like, I guess, 2 extra in-game weeks at the end of the game where,
We could fuck around and fish.
So, maybe that hinders our experience with it because the end game is, a little barren.
But I think a lot of people, depending on like how invested they like how they played the Persona games, like how they approached that, if they were the min max thing, or if they were just like, I'm gonna casually just play this, and whoever I max, and if I miss out, then like whatever. Like depending on your approach to that, you'll come to this differently. But I think either way, by the end, you should get like the social stats are much easier to like rank up, and fully completed just means that the two of us resetting every goddamn time, we're just gonna get it like a couple more days in game earlier.
Yeah.
It is really the main difference there. And yeah, like various other things, like I tried doing all the cooking for the cooking achievement, which I just barely fucking got because there's a couple rare ingredients, namely the fish thing, which is called what, the king, fucking I don't know.
Remember which fish.
Yeah, I'll put it on the screen. Just whatever it's called. There's that and the gauntlet shrooms, and both of those are real bastards to get.
It's random chance if you're going in through the
pantry. Yeah, which for most of the game I was ignoring. I think I figured that out somewhere early on because it teaches you, and then I just completely forgot about that because it's you go in there and it gives you free ingredients.
And it's like every time you get back on the gauntlet.
Yeah, it's every free moment you have, or every day you have.
And it's like, oh, I didn't realize that until late, but
no, yeah,
you're able to get access to your food ingredients without it, for the most part. But like some of the more expensive food dishes that you're gonna end up creating are gonna be hard to get.
Yeah,
but they are worth it.
A lot of them are really great in terms of like just restore a bunch of SP or HP or just like straight up stat buffs that you use in combat.
Like negate any debuff on you, like poison or burn.
Yeah, like a Dekanda or Dekanda for free. Which is really nice as an item, so it's one less skill slot you have to have, and also you wouldn't be using up SP in combat.
Like, most special.
Oh yeah.
Gives you like 4 energy turns or whatever it is.
Yeah,
really
yeah. And that one required the big fish dude, which
you're only gonna get like 1 dish, 2 dishes, 3 dishes.
No, yeah. The most helpful one for me was the one that you feed the Adeni with to reset the weather. I definitely made that like a decent amount.
That I found a ton of use out of is the one that lets you kill every enemy in the overworld with 1 shot. So no matter how level you are,
I don't think I ever messed around with that. That would be nice on my cleric.
It's really
one
nice
attack.
to just, like, tear through a dungeon that you're.
Does that give you one attack to start the preemptive strike, or it just fucks them up? Damn. Regardless of level?
Go into combat. Yeah, regardless of level.
Does that last for like the entire time you're on a floor, or for
seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds?
So you kind of
have to sure.
Yeah, but it's a relatively cheap dish, so I was just constantly making it. Yeah.
That would help you speed a lot through the game. You get I guess less experience or whatever, but yeah.
But once you get to the point where you're already maxed, it was.
I'm maxed. Yeah, that's cool. Because the tail bait is what you use to get the super strong epic fish thing, and you get maybe one of that through the story, and then another one through like another optional thing, and the other ones are just completely random. You could either in the basement you could sweep the storage room, you could clean the storage room, and there's a chance that you get one. And then also I found that if you do the plant thing, there's a chance that when you harvest it, you might also get tail bait or the gauntlet shrooms, which is how I got some of those. So yeah, I don't think any of the guides at the time when I was playing the game, they like listed that out. It was either like, if you want the tail bait, you have to sweep the storage room, and if you want the gauntlet shrooms, you have to check the pantry, and if you don't, you're fucked. But I also, through planting, you can randomly maybe get both of those. Yeah. So that was pretty useful for that.
I think it's something that I didn't really take time.
No, yeah, I only did it near the end once I completed the books and whatever other shit.
Because then that gets you more archetype leveling items, which at that point are pretty useful because you don't want to just go back to grinding for your low level archetypes that aren't super useful right now, but as you need more requirements for future archetypes, they become more important.
Mm-hmm. I think that's pretty much all the gameplay stuff. I think that's all my notes. So yeah, I mean, if we have anything else to say about like how the shit works, we'll just explain it in the next sections, because there's still so much more to talk about with this fucking monster.
It is a massive game.
Mm-hmm.
And, part of the reason why so many people loved it was the story, and so why not just discuss it? I'd say overall, it's a good story, a bit too long, and maybe, needlessly convoluted and needlessly twisty at points where it's essentially overall is, King assassinated by Louis.
Oh yeah,
Louis, who is
Luis.
He's a good villain.
He's I will say in the entire like SMT Persona, any of that like series, as a main villain, he's maybe the best one that I've come across.
Like well fleshed out, because
he's a real character.
The thing about a lot of villains in SMT and Persona games is like you're going up against a villain that is often a twist villain that is like needlessly
either that or they're like introduced way late into the game, or they're just straight up a god or a like an idea of something, and they're like okay, which is cool in those, like in the SMT games. I want to be doing that because it's like I am fighting, like it's a war against these gods, and I'm like
low on story, high on gameplay, so you don't
so I'm like cool in that. And what I like about Luis is he's a constant threat. He is a character who you meet from the beginning, and they're like integrally related to the protagonist and like their story and stuff.
Go up against. And he's essentially Griffith from Berserk.
He reminded me a lot of that because blonde knight dude who's evil and he's a pretty boy or whatever.
Yes, and there are other elements that are pulled from various media.
Yeah, I guess Basilio is Guts, and his fucking Fidelio is Casca. To compare a little bit, not one for one copy of everything, but just like he's short. That's why.
Yes, exactly.
And he likes Griffith for longer than Guts, or she does. Yeah, exactly.
But I'd say. The story setup is that the king dies because it's assassinated by Louis, and then
the prince is like cursed or something.
Cursed, so there is no direct, heir to the throne. So Louis tried to take the throne, but democracy magic happens. The king has access to a wide array.
The king's magic is such shit, in my opinion. It's such a dumb a thing, because like the way they do it is like before all that there's like the protagonist is set out to defeat Luis or whatever, and he's supposed to unite with this dude, what's his name, Grius. You remember him? Yeah. He's supposed to meet up with him, and then the two of them will defeat him somehow. And the plan that Grius comes up with is the dumbest goddamn thing. It's just like in broad daylight when Luis is up on the stage, I will attack him when he's looking at me or whatever. In front of everyone. It's like, what the fuck are we doing?
The death flags were flying at that.
No, I know. Like, I knew this dude was gonna die because he's like in whatever trailers and stuff. Like, yeah,
he never shows up.
Yeah, I know exactly. Like the character archetype that he embodies is one that you see a lot in fantasy or in RPGs and stuff. Like, I could think of other examples that I don't want to name necessarily because then it might be obvious for those. Like, oh, we have this older man character. That means they're going to die if Drew mentions it.
Yes, but it is a popular trope.
Sure.
And,
it's not like a terrible one, but like it's pretty damn obvious. It's like...
There are a lot of elements to the story where they try to play it off as a twist, but it's a bit apparent for a lot of the twists that they try and throw.
Yeah.
Especially as, you get further on in the game. And then there's just constant like hints at like, oh, maybe this character is
yeah. For the twists that happened later on, they weren't necessarily things that I predicted, but like when it did happen, I'm like, oh duh. Yeah. Like, oh no shit, like that's the way that it is. Yes. Like sort of thing, which to me is better than like what the fuck is that? What do you mean? That doesn't make sense. Like you want that sort of like the no duh, like, oh, that makes sense sort of reasoning that you get.
Why the fuck are we fighting
no, I know.
Right now when he was never even what the hell? Pancakes.
No, yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like, because they do share Persona 5 to compare it to that. Like, it has scenes, like it has a handful of scenes near the end where it's like, here's all this convoluted exposition for 2 hours. And it has a similar thing that happened in this game, which, I don't know, I guess overall maybe it's slightly better. Because there's one, like, there's a couple of, in Persona 5, the one that happens there's like a couple of, like, that doesn't make sense, and this also doesn't make sense, like, within this thing. And for the most part, like, the convoluted, like, the twists and turns that bombard you in the later part of the game. It's they are like more deserved, sort of, I guess, and that they make more sense than Personas. But that, excuse me, like that's again like why I'm saying like it's borrowing more of the structure from 5, because like even in story, in that way, it's taking that same structure of like we're building up all this stuff. And then all in a row right here for 2 hours, we're going to be like, we're going to bombard you with all this shit and stuff. So it like feels similar in that way.
I agree. I think that was kind of when I had my like initial problems with the story. Because when you are like dealing with Louis in like your first few encounters with him, it's annoying how much they try and set up like, spoiler alert, his false deaths, where it's like, you go up against like 4 times over the course of the game, which is cool because like he's recurring.
I think that's good. Yeah,
because of the way the story sets up the stakes whenever you confront him, it's like life or death every time, and like every time you beat him, and inevitably as like the player of the game.
Yeah.
But it's hard to take it seriously when Luis was beaten, but.
Wink, he's defeated, definitely. Yeah, that one is like is also a more obvious, like that's not what's going to happen.
Obviously, this is not going to go the way it's depicted.
Yeah, and also like if he didn't come back, I would just be mad because it's like he's setting the whole game's been set up to be he is the villain, and like I at this point just want that out of like some like twist villain of like now this person shows up and they were controlling the whole narrative all along.
Yeah, they felt like they needed to have a twist in some way, so it would be like, oh, we're going to have a. Kill him off here, but not dead, obviously. You deal with him here, but still.
Which we'll get even more to that as we advance. But like going back to the King's magic, like the King is a fucking idiot for like that magic. It just like in a world where you are creating a situation to determine the next king. Murder is sort of required because like what if some super powerful dude manipulates his way to the top because he's OP and also manipulative and hiding the truth a lot, and his name is fucking Luis, and he's like a super evil bad guy that's manipulating the population, and you're preventing him from being slain because of your cuck magic of like protecting him but not people from murdering him. Could we not just allow murder, because that's what it feels like an excuse as of like we don't want to kill characters off in this thing. For Luis, but like
literally Deus Ex Machina.
No, I know, and it feels like, but like, could you not just say that? Oh, Luis is super OP, and like Rias couldn't do shit to him anyways, like in a fight.
He was never
like, and like, you're establishing like he's this OP as dude anyways, and like even if the protagonist and his just strolling Hulkenberg at the start of the game, it's even before you get Hulkenberg at party, it's just you strolling Rias. It's like even that, it's like you have no shot against this dude.
It's
like you already have that established. It's like why add this extra thing?
Needlessly convoluted plot point where you need to find a way to pierce through the King's magic, right? And like you have to find this weapon now. And
I'm fine with that, I guess, because like the lance is cool or whatever. And then it creates like, oh, we got to disguise it now, and now we're scared that who has it and who doesn't have it, and then eventually it's irrelevant.
Exactly. That's the problem I have.
Yeah.
Because
by the end,
it's just irrelevant. Completely like.
Because what happens like
trying to find this thing is just
no, I know, and by that point what happens like Luis is like talking to the dude, and it's like, can we just stop this shit already? And then the King's like, you might have a point there, and it's like, come the fuck on, like what are you doing?
Like I like Luis and all of his
he's a great villain. His voice acting is great. He's written great.
He's great, right? Yeah, exactly. His monologues about survival of the fittest and strength above all else, and the value of strength in order to get the common folk.
Yeah, like it's obvious like why he's like a bad guy, but like it makes sense that like he would think him as the good guy, and also why people would back him in universe.
All the writing and story for the overall like the politics is set up really well. Because the essentially boilerplate of the King's magic is that there is democracy instead. Like the next king will be chosen by popular vote.
Yeah, which is fine. That's fair or whatever.
It's essentially, it's not actually people voting, but it's like the deepest.
It's like there's it's magic.
And so it's cool because as the story continues, you get the popularity between candidates is rising and falling. For the most part, it's like a battle between first and second place between your rival Luis, and then also the church, which is a big
Forden, They do again, like they're bringing back all of these RPG tropes. So they have the church is bad thing where there's this council of controlling people, and they have this figurehead Forden who's this really annoying bastard. And he's like a good villain also to like serve like a sort of different role. Yeah, it'd just be like annoying.
He's not like killing everyone, but he is essentially a figurehead of it.
He's like equally manipulative,
And he
or even more so.
represents a period of like stagnation and corruption in the kingdom that people are trying to leave behind. But because it's such a like an ingrained part of society that the population all automatically supports the king and Forden and the church because that was the system.
It's the building blocks or whatever.
Like, that is what they've been living with for the past, I don't know how many decades at that point. I don't really know how Hippolytus, was set up as king.
He's the fifth one though.
His story is interesting as you kind of get into his backstory in the later end of the game, where they try and paint him in a more sympathetic light, and it's understandable because essentially the reason why he was such a ineffectual king for his entire reign and why people hated him and wanted to kill him essentially was because he was depressed. I guess at the end of the day he lost a lot and essentially shut down as a king and allowed Forden and the church to take the reins of the country and run it largely into the ground, but not enough to be the villains, but enough for Louis to be really unhappy with the way that the country is being led, and so he takes it upon himself to kill the king and then try and take over. So that is the entire setup of your story, and you as the protagonist are set up to try and be their I guess the support for the prince, because Hippolytus had a kid and he was initially assassinated before Hippolytus was years ago as a kid, and they played off like actually he's not dead, he was cursed and he's stuck in a curse, and so you as the protagonist are his essentially
attendant. You're basically like his retainer, supposedly, of like you're with him since like childbirth, basically like raised in the same place or whatever, and then now you got to set out and save him, I guess.
So essentially there is, I guess, your third party, your wild card party, which is what you represent as a protagonist, where you're trying to get people to support the prince and get him popular support in order to take back.
Which is interesting. Like rather like I want to be, because there's like a tournament that starts as a result of all this, which is initiated by the church, and Louise decides like I don't need to be any part of this.
I really liked it. Essentially the rules that the king's magic set up is incredibly vague.
It's very vague. Yeah, it's like how the fuck do you? Yeah.
People could, like, the contestants could just kill each other, I guess, in order to whittle it down to the end, but
a bit faster. Would have been the game would have been 20 hours. I don't know. You just would have lost to Louis, I guess, then, in that case. No. Yeah.
But instead, the church sets up exactly like a tournament that you go to each of, like, the largest cities in the continent and kind of demonstrate a quest or like complete a quest of some sort in order to gain popular vote. And each of the different kind of quests you're sent on is a lot of fun. I liked that element to it. I think it did a good job of like introducing new characters that you got to then recruit sometimes.
Which is what the tournament arcs type of thing they do. Here's a bunch of dudes now in the fray. As your rivals.
Your rivals are fun to kind of deal with. The majority of your rivals are, less.
Yeah, they'll just you'll just like come across them as you traverse the overworld, and you like fight them on your runners, and then usually at the end when you defeat them, you have a conversation. It's like drop the fucking race because we beat your ass, and they're like okay. Type of thing. Which to me, like it brings me back to the King's Magic thing of like it like wants to lead more into like power friendship rather than like I'm now killing this person because they are challenging me, and instead like we could have the scene at the end where they're like sort of supporting you, the protagonist, as it bounces around between varying locations. Like the rivals that you've defeated are like, yeah, this guy's not too bad, I'm sure I'm rooting for him right now, rather than just like they're dead and like that's the end of it. It's like the King's Magic like wants to lean more into that like anime style of things.
And then you get your villain Louis, who's trying to exploit this system and kill whoever is comes across him. But because of the way the tournament is set up, he's almost forced into a sort of role that fits the church's agenda because they are the ones in charge of the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's
own, game plan and politics set aside, that like he stays out of the tournament for a long time until he eventually joins.
He joins like midway through, which is a little unfair. It's like we already done all this shit to get to this point.
But
it's
it didn't
like
even matter because he was always like the second most popular.
No, I know.
No matter what. Even though he killed the king, like there's a.
But did that even come out as like people knew about that at that point?
It was in the everyone was whispering about it. Like,
Okay.
I don't think
It was the rumors that the Persona games love so much.
About the whispers. He is a good villain, and I think he has great qualifications and reasons for why he's acting the way he is. I think the needlessly twisty, aspects to his character that you uncover as the game goes on is a little, ham-fisted and.
Yeah, I don't know. I was cool with the tribe reveal of him. Like, we haven't talked about this yet, but there's like, instead of just calling them races, they call them tribes in this game. That basically determines like, their appearance. Not necessarily even where they're from, because each area, like location you go to, seems to be like pretty intermixed with them. The exception is the people with the 3 eyes who are sort of on their one island because people hate them for some reason. Which the game tries to tackle racism. On like the most surface level racism bad, which like I'm glad we're getting this message from Japan of all places, but then again it's from Japan and they're like I think their experience with racism is very like it's like more of a black and white thing to them, so it's like at least it's they're treating it as racism bad.
And it's fun because it's not often you play as a protagonist who is like the victim of racism. It is very like in a JRPG
that's rare.
Yeah,
definitely.
So it's cool in that aspect. I do agree. It's this game is like super widely celebrated for how it tackles racism.
Is it? Yeah, I didn't feel that at all. I felt like it's like the service level thing.
At the end of the day, it is.
Yeah, you form like a diversity party of like someone from like every tribe's like it, and even like the game even admits that. Like I think Luis at some point is like, wow, it's so diverse or something. That's cool.
One of every race.
Yeah,
it's like,
tribe.
Cool, tribe.
Which like I'm cool. I'm fine with like whatever. I've probably seen other games that have done that type of thing. Like I don't like Mass Effect has done that where it's like you get basically like one of every alien race and then like a couple of humans and stuff, but like that game I would say almost handles like racism and like stuff like that. It's like more subtle about it, and it's like more varied of like this group doesn't like this group, this group is fine with this group. Like to be like that like is less emphasized in that game than this, but it has more depth than this one, I would say.
In this one, it's like,
but that's also 3 video games, and this is just one. So
in this one, the justification for a lot of racism is because the church says so, right? It's like church
bad.
So
maybe
they say the emblems are bad, so
fuck them.
They're evil and demons. So it's like a lot of the time, the general populace of this country are portrayed as like the most country bumpkin,
brainless
dumbass
sheep, which the Persona 5 is also sort of like that with the subconscious, the whatever thing. That's also a Jungian term.
You lose a lot of nuance when you look at the general populace of an entire continent in such a simplified way.
Yeah, but it's true in our world also, especially through social media and stuff. Which there's another video game which we'll talk about in the future that sort of hones in on that idea, where like just sort of brainless like spread of information and like. Okay, now all of us people in this area are going to believe this thing because supposedly this thing happened and the people around me believes it this way. And yeah, it helps my own whatever social status or things if I also agree with that.
It is, it's not like it is without meaning when, Luis comes out and says, yeah, I killed the king. Now, I'll explain my reasoning, and you all support me. And the people are, oh yeah, he's he's kind of bad, but maybe he's got a point.
He's kind of hot though.
He was a really good knight, and he did good things for us. So maybe it's good. And, it is realistic. People would end up doing that if your entire way of life is thrown into upheaval because a fucking giant planet-sized moon is in the sky and like a face is looking down at you at all times of the day.
No, it reminded me of like Majora's Mask, but just like it rather than like it slowly impeding upon you, it's just like constantly there. Every time you look up, it's kind of freaky. Like they never really emphasize how scary. Like why out of all things just like have a constant rock in the sky that then serves as the fucking end villain's like hideout, so that he's like come fight me on top of the King's Magic thing where I've summoned a bunch of dudes. Was it a thing that the Eldens can summon humans or something, or they're like related to them in some way? And that's why like your protagonist has like certain interactions with the humans at some points in the game. They're like born from them, or
they were humans, or in some way.
Yeah, something like that.
Which is why he's able to turn emblems into
which goes like unexplained throughout the whole thing. But then when he eventually reveals it, 'cause I don't know what the tribe is called with the horns, but he's pretending to be that for like the entire game. And then it turns out he's Elden all along, which explains how he was controlling the humans before, because a lot of the boss fights spawn from him. Because it's like that's the other thing is like the humans keep showing up and invading places, and it's Louis all along is summoning them so he could defeat them. And he specifically also summons them to make other people look bad when they cannot defeat him. Okay. So they become more reliant on him to just be the one universal thing to rid everybody of their problems and make everybody like him more. Like that was a huge part of his sort of campaign. That he just created the whole thing. That's his whole thing. Like rather than the tournament. Yeah. And even during that,
it's not conflictory or paradoxical for his character being like, I'm actually, killing a lot of my, my basic support using these manufactured human attacks or whatever in order to gain popular. It's because, like, if you can't support yourself in his eyes, you deserve to die, right? Like, it's
like a one or done. Like,
you don't have the strength to enact your own, goals or ambitions, then you are not worth.
Then you will die. Right. So can't we just let natural selection do that? Why you gotta force it? You ever heard of Darwinism, bro?
Just wait a few million years.
They'll be stronger enough to whatever standard you have. I don't know if this was also necessarily significant or intentional, but Luis's design or his name, he shares a name with another villain in the SMT series. Either SMT 1 or 2. There's like a character named Louis or Luis or however they would pronounce it in that. And it's later revealed that they're Lucifer and their like full name is Louis Cypher. And so like you put it together and it's like there's this film called Angel Heart, which I guess I'm spoiling that movie. I like that movie a lot, but like it has like the character name of like one or the other of like his full name is Louis Cypher, and like that was the first time I had seen that because I think that's the origin point, and then SMT borrowed it if I had to guess. Because I'm not sure which one came out before or after. I think Angel Heart came out in the 70s, like 78 maybe. And then first SMT game was probably in the 80s at least. If I had to, I don't know if my shitty knowledge of retro games, if I had to say, probably at least at that point. And so it's Louis Cypher, he's Lucifer, but like he's taken on like a human form, and he has like long blonde hair. In that form, and in Persona and Shin Megami Tensei, there's a demon called Hallel, who is sort of like a form of Lucifer, Satan, or whatever. And Luis also sort of marks a resemblance to him, where it's just sort of like this beautifully modeled person with like long blonde hair, also, who's the form of Lucifer. Luis is his name. Louis Cypher is the other character in the series. He essentially becomes like Lucifer at the end of the game. Like he becomes a godlike entity thing. I'm not sure if it's trying to draw or like was inspired by other past entries, stuff in that way. But it feels similar. And
archetype where it's like
it's part of the archetype. Yeah.
perfect exterior and like
Yeah.
really capable character that is, marred by
Griffith,
dark
like we
shadow.
said.
Yeah. I like that aspect, and I'm trying to say, there's, I guess,
It's hard to remember all this shit because it's like sometimes one of us will be talking for like 5 minutes. Oh yeah.
the book. The book of...
Oh yeah,
we haven't really talked
Utopia.
about it.
No, yeah.
But essentially, the protagonist is given a book by the prince, of the book that the prince really loved reading. And it was a book that talked about a utopia, a paradise. And essentially, it is like a depiction of what our world is today.
Yeah.
Or like an idealized version of our world.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's this idea that in this fantasy world, the fantasy that they desire and are like so captivated by is a world like ours, a better world, with like, democracy and personal freedoms and all that. And it's this book that is constantly brought up throughout the story. You read it to a bunch of your different characters.
Yeah, basically, like every time you get a new friend, you like show them your book. Like, they're like, "What's this thing you're reading?" And they're like, "Whoa, that sounds awesome." There's no racism at all in this world. Yeah, which that book is based upon. In our world, we have Utopia. His name is Moore. There's the character Moore in this game who's named after him. Yeah, which is a weird reveal that happened at the end. Because I'm like, that was like a no shit. Like, oh yeah, okay, like that sort of reveal of like him, I guess. But like it just made sense because they have the same hair color. That was the biggest indicator, and it's a similar length.
Not very surprising once you got through Moore's Bond stories.
No, yeah, where he's like questioning the shit that he's all about. That was also a nice like the academia, like that was a nice little Velvet Room equivalent because he's basically the Igor of this game.
Which helps you, familiarize yourself with the archetypes.
Yeah, you get to read about them in the library.
I thought he was handled pretty well as a character.
There's like a support character, almost villain, sort of redeemed character thing.
Yeah,
it's sort of interesting.
Another way to get depth on a character that is already killed off at the very beginning of the game. So it's hard to get. Yeah,
he adds a little bit, something more to Hyphlodius, who is named after somebody from Utopia. Yeah. The book,
the leader of that utopian world.
Yeah, his name isn't exactly Hyphlodius, but it's something very similar.
Hyplodia.
Yeah, it's like Hyphlodus.
Obviously, very, very much impacted by that.
Which I forget what the fifth comes from, but there's like a separate dude in that who has the fifth title, so they sort of combine them, I think, for like the full name.
And it is cool, kind of using the idea of utopia to, kind of put up like a dark mirror to the world that the characters inhabit. Because
they're basically just talking about that the book in our world, but they're using imagery of our world to like pretend that like this is in an ironic, like not literal sense, that like, oh yeah, in this world everything is perfect or whatever.
I don't think it's like so on the nose that the directors or like the game designers are, saying this world is perfect and like this is what like we should.
Well, I think they're saying that ours is not. Like is by
putting it
pretending that it is or whatever, by like talking about specifically here's a bunch of things in this perfect world and then showing sort of imagery of Tokyo. It's sort of like wink wink, people playing this game. It's not this way, but it should be. Let's sort of aim for that.
And it's this conflict with fantasy and desire.
Yeah, it plays with fantasy and reality, especially towards the end with Moore's encounter thing.
Yeah, these are something like my favorite themes that the game kind of delved into with like the idea of fantasy versus anxiety. Towards the end of the game, it becomes more apparent that the conflict or the onslaught of humans that people are facing and the monsters that are now like threatening the kingdom are caused by just anxiety. That's kind of the boilerplate, not enemy, but the problem that many people have to face. And so there's the idea of coming to terms with yourself, accepting, your archetypes and your own goals and your personal desires, and then trying to fight that general anxiety. And it's, very big picture, like very heady kind of themes that are explored in a lot of the different Atlas games, like Persona.
Yeah, Persona 5, it tackles a similar thing where like the subconscious across everybody is like what is sort of causing sort of like the weird things going on.
Caused by
Yeah.
the populace and like problems that everyone that everyone experiences. So it's done pretty well in this game, I feel like.
Yeah, maybe better than the 5,
Yeah,
Persona 5,
it's
for
more
example.
coherent in this game and less out of, out of nowhere, because in the Persona games, a lot of the time they like setting up those twist villains where it's just like,
Oh, yeah, sure.
I guess we're fighting this character, but
But then there's two more final bosses after them, because there's one like another twist villain god thing that you fight against, and then the enhanced re-release hits, and it's like, oh, we added another thing. Here's some more for you. So
it's fun. It's very kind of campy and cheeky at that point when you know what you're getting into with Atlas games. So it's more enjoyable to deal with that if you're already familiar with how it goes. But with the metaphor, it's nice because it's just a more grounded story in general. It's less campy. There are still elements that are a bit, extravagant and goofy. But
the King's Magic, I will never get away. Like it's so silly. Like you just cucked out Grias from like you could already just kill him and whatever.
It's just he's 5 minutes too late. You could have just done that earlier. But no, I had to make a really cool scene and set piece from it.
Did it make you feel like, no, damn it?
No, how could they do that?
Oh no. Yes. Oh no, I have to comfort the cat MILF or whatever.
No, which is not a widow because they weren't together, but
no, I know.
Like, close. Yeah.
She was just raising his kid.
Yeah. The relationship between Grias and the other characters is not super well.
I think it was just he had a daughter somehow, because that daughter is of like the winged tribe race, so that means the mother. Because I don't think he is that winged tribe. He's just was he Elden also? He doesn't have horns.
No.
He doesn't have animal attributes. Was he Elden?
I don't think so. I think they would have made a big
What the fuck was he? I don't know. I'll put it up on the screen. They'll figure it out. Yeah, and so, but he might have been the winged, but he just might have had very small wings that was covered up by his armor. I don't know. But like, I assumed that he was not that thing, so he bred with a woman who was the winged tribe thing, and then the dog. Is she a dog or a cat? Because I think she's a dog. 'Cause the tail. I think they're dog people. Because there's Basilio and Fidelia who are dogs. Are there cat people? There's bunnies. She's the bunny though. She's a rabbit.
Yeah.
So I think there's just dogs and rabbits and people with horns and people with wings and people with 3 eyes, and then there's the Eldens who are just people.
I see the tribes are somewhat not hollow, but
I would say they are.
Level, like you're getting different character designs and different lore. But the lore is not super deep.
Yeah.
You're never gonna get like the history behind this tribe when it's a battle.
Yeah, they don't emphasize that at all, which I'm cool with mostly. But like, if you do want to have a theme of racism, like the history of it, like matters a shit ton. Yeah, the context for like, well, why did these people start getting beef with these people? How do we resolve that from there? Type of thing. And yeah, like to focus on the tribes also slightly. I don't know if it was a tribe thing or if it was dependent on the region, but they tried doing different accents for different people and locations, which that also felt like a little surface level. A game that does that better is Xenoblade 2, which like based on region, it's like, okay, these people from here are Welsh. They have like more Welsh accents. These people from here have more Australian sort of accents and stuff. So it's like it creates like it allows for like the real world accents that we have to sort of represent the regions of like in-game, in-universe, and there isn't really something for that. Yeah, it's kind of more like character to character type of thing. Like Basilio and Fidelio, I was able to recognize their Liverpool accents because I listened to a lot of Beatles interviews, so I'm very used to like, and parodies of their voices, so I'm very used to like how that specific type of British accent sounds there. And like yeah, they like mess around with like varying degrees of them, which I'm like cool with. But it's like yeah, it didn't feel like cohesive like in the world narrative lore whatever the type of thing. Like it didn't feel like super thought out in that way, which like I'm cool with. It's just like there's nothing really to it. Like it's fine.
In general, we're really
Yeah. Oh yeah. The voice acting's great. Yeah.
But yeah, it's not super consistent, which is, maybe not. You're not playing these kind of games for that like real, immersive experience.
I mean, if I'm going to spend 100 hours in the world, I would hope that like it's well rounded in some ways. But like, I think the things that it didn't emphasize, I cared a little bit more about Louise as a character, as we've established, and like the church's role also. I think like is a good version of that archetype, which again, this game includes many tropes and archetypes, you could say. But they're all like executed overall quite well. Like they're good versions of them. Like some people think like, oh, trope's bad, but like not necessarily. Like there's still good ways to utilize them. It's not just a one for one or one or nothing.
A game like this where it's the whole idea of archetypes and
yeah, especially in this one where they're like self-aware of it sort of and like or like going into it
journey and like the core the core character growth journey is like very spelled out throughout all of the different cast of characters that you recruit, because like each time your character, like your new companion, unlocks their archetype, it's because they go through some sort of like incredible self-fulfillment or like moment of self-realization that they are able to become a better person essentially. And I like how each of the different cast members were introduced throughout the story. I think they do a good job. I really liked, Heisman's recruitment. I think he was
one of my more favorite characters in the party, even if gameplay his class wasn't the best, or like even him as a character. I'm not like really sure.
Pretty great build towards the end, but yeah, the thief archetype at the beginning.
It's good against specifically those the mimics, whatever they're called.
One of the few that has access to dark type moves, which is
that too. But like the thief skill you could use on enemies to like take items from them. Mimics. And yeah, the mimics you would throw money at them through the tycoon and merchant archetypes, which I love the design of the tycoon. It's just like an elephant.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Like with a turban. It's badass. I don't remember what we were talking about because that was 10 hours ago, but there's at least one more noteworthy thing to talk about the story. For other story shits we could come back to, for like specifically when we talk about the characters, I guess, because they're intertwined and whatnot. But the other main twist, there was the Louis is the Nelden or whatever. There was the Moore is Hyphlodius, but then there was also the protagonist is the prince all along, and it's not actually a different person that you're. Because to me that was like the most interesting aspect about his campaign is that you're representing somebody else, like you're fighting on the behalf of like another person.
Unique position to take because
for
many of the JRPGs you play, at least you are the chosen, right? You're the
type of thing.
you're the king, you're the lord, you're whatever, you're the important.
Yeah, and in this you're the supporter to that, so that you represent their ideals, and so that when they do come back, through methods of your own of reviving them, then they're able to lead and take over or whatever.
I always like that kind of that position to take. Like it reminds me a lot of Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn and Path of Radiance, where he plays Ike. And Ike is like one of the only Fire Emblem protagonists who is not a lord or a lady or like the leader of a kingdom. It's just a mercenary.
Yeah.
Same with Violet now.
I guess yeah.
It's
sort, but they have like they're also like their blood and like who they're related to matters a lot. Like not in the same like royalty way, but like in the story.
Yes, yeah. I guess so long.
Pretty much. That's how I think of him, but as a person who hasn't played either of those games. But like that is his identity, and it is comparable to this, where it's like, yeah, you're not a noble person, and you are of this. Siren's going off. Who's calling from Space Command? Let's just ignore that. Okay. The fucking what was I saying? It's like weird in this because it's like the prince and the you the individual
are actually
is the same, and it's like who decided that? It was like
that when you go to the Emblem City,
like the tree place thing. That's when because that's when after all the convoluted shit happens, you fight Luis again and you sort of lose. Like the other times, it was sort of winning the game, not necessarily losing the cutscene. but it's just you, the fucking like nothing. It's just like neutral. Is sort of is how it remains. And then at that point, it's more of like a true failure thing because the human,
the term you,
yeah,
which for as we kind of explained, it's because animals are related. They came from the humans, and the humans essentially, I guess, it's strange because the world that we are playing in is basically in our distant future. So essentially, in this kingdom,
is it supposed to be?
Yeah, because right, Shinjuku it's built upon the roots of Shinjuku, and there are
Okay.
the logs there that are talking about how humans first essentially created or accessed magma, and that is what led to
and that explains why Dragonland Shinjuku there's like elevators and like it's basically just a building, but it's just has become overrun with plants, and the plants have become monsters and shit.
And it's like one of the only places where you get logs from ages and ages and ages ago.
Yeah. Is there other locations that are like that where they're more based upon like here's a part of Japan or like Earth and stuff, or is it just that? Like that's the only thing I could think of. Which I didn't really think about when that happened. It's just kind of like, oh, there's futuristic elevators. Yeah. Like our standard of futuristic, but it's in their past because it's like a...
Right. It's the ruins of what once was, and so humans...
We are that past advanced civilization, despite the fact that we didn't have magic, supposedly, in this universe.
With Yufa's storyline that we'll go into more depth with, you kind of go to the ruins, and then there are like the mosaics or the motifs that are like talking about the origin.
Oh, yeah. I guess that was the whole... run down there.
Exploration of how this modern fantasy world should be. And it's cool because you get to have that sort of history, and then it obviously leads into some more important moments, like when Louise is able to turn your protagonist into a monster, a human, and essentially cuts all of the progress that you've made, and like you are no longer popular at all.
No clout.
No clout. No one likes you.
Everybody in the city hates you, or whatever.
But then you're able to kind of recuperate in this Emblem City that you're able to go to, and eventually figure out that you...
Yeah, you get lore dropped, and you are the... And the voice that's been... yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, 3 to 4 hours of the gameplay experience. It's like...
Yeah, it's maybe close to
much happening at all.
Yeah, it's just constant change of like everything you knew up to the game in this point is now this thing instead.
There are a lot of moments like that where essentially the structure of the game is you have your gameplay arcs where you have your calendar and your mission that you have to do within a set amount of days, usually around a month or two, sometimes weeks, and then you'll have a big story moment where it will take some amount of time.
Same structure as Persona.
Yeah, and then sometimes
sometimes in the story there's a boss fight or like a necessary like random
a bit more on rails, following the plot line as you go. And sometimes that can take a while, and specifically in this moment where you are, fighting Louise, and then you're human, and then everyone hates you. You're almost dead, but you're not dead. And you come back, and then you're in the forest, and then you find out you're the prince, and then you have to talk with everyone about the exposition, and then the enemy comes, and you have to fight them, and then you have to go back to the city, and then it becomes very complicated towards the final 3 quarters to last 4. But it is, pretty standard for a lot of Atlas games, honestly.
No, yeah, totally. And like the at that point when you're revealed to be the prince all along, it's also revealed that I don't know if it's revealed, but it's more hinted upon, like the voice that's been happening in your head is your mom or something, I guess. We don't really know much details upon.
You hear it very, occasionally.
Like I can even tell you a part where like she was actually mentioned by a character or something.
Or kind of gets his moment with her as like his final at the very end of the game. I can't remember, but yeah, not a super important aspect of the story.
Yeah, just another thing that happens in those big ass. Yeah,
it's hard to talk about every single detail in this game.
No, I know.
There is so much, and it leads to a rich experience, but one that can, it gets heavy sometimes. But on that note, shall we start talking about some of the characters?
Yes, sir.
Into, you know, your main cast.
Yeah, starting with the main character out of all the main cast members. This is it was noteworthy, especially through like the trailers and stuff, and as the more of information of the game was pouring out. But for the Persona games, those are silent protagonists. They have dialogue in like the anime and manga adaptations of them, where they're like more so of like real characters than like the player projecting onto like a baseless object thing that runs around. And like the only things that they say is through like dialogue choices typically. And this game, he has voice lines and he speaks, and he talks and is sort of more so of a character while still forming like a base. Like here's a basic good guy most of the time, I guess. Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, he's a fun character to play through, especially as you get a lot of lore that is regarding him, and it's a satisfying arc for him. Such like right, the entire goal is to win the tournament and to like become the king, or at least stop Louis, right, to get the prince on the throne for the most part. And then as lore comes in that you are the prince and you've done all the work of like gaining popularity and like rising up the ranks of the tournament until like eventually you're top 1-2, and that it's a very satisfying arc. To it feels like you've worked for it. You've grinded your virtues, your bonds. You've made relationships. You've done all the
yeah. And the fact that like he actually speaks and has a character attributed to him, it like further justifies like the fact that like he is the leader and he's doing these things. Because in the Persona games, like the way it gets relegated to you each time, like it progressively makes less and less sense from 3 to 4 to 5.
Yeah.
Like in 3, they actually do have ways of justifying it reasonably well, despite the fact that he's also a silent protagonist. And then 4 and 5, like progressively is less and less. It's kind of just like, oh yeah, sure, because you're the player, so you're the leader or whatever. And in this game, he's actually saying words, and like he's performing actions of his own without the character's direct input. Yes. So it makes more sense that he is a leader and people like him or whatever, because he feels more like an actual character.
And in addition to this, and this main character that is in all of the different Personas SMTs, you also have your companion character, your Gallop, who is like is she magician? She's a mage archetype.
Yeah, she's mage. She would probably, and the Persona games, she would be the magician tarot, what the fuck, arcanas. She would definitely be that.
Same kind of character archetype.
Which other SMT games have a companion thing like that? Because that is an archetype thing. Like when you think of like fantasy things, fairy companion. Like obviously the Zelda games have a handful of notorious things.
Yeah.
With Morgana, because he's a creature who is definitely not human, despite the fact that he consistently says that he is. Looking at you, Cat.
Yeah, I guess I felt she was most similar to that, and she feels almost like a.
I liked her as a navigator type of character, essentially. There's this interesting like in lore explanation where like for the music, which is really weird. She like plays it in your head, so like all in universe. The songs that you, the player, are hearing, the protagonist is also hearing somehow.
I don't know why.
It's like a fun, like, okay, I don't know. Why not? How did she borrow the songs from whatever SoundCloud, iTunes equivalent exists in that magic?
It's all, I guess.
Yeah, someone else I forgot to say about it's not necessarily the story, but like the way they justify it in gameplay is like the igniters that you could buy. They're super expensive. Right. And what that sort of creates is the society where it's like the rich are powerful because they're able to afford the magic, which you could innately get, maybe, or no, because that's gone. And like the only people who can are the people who are like your party, essentially, who's like, I don't know, making the archetypes happening somehow, which I forget. But like, the only way to get magic is to buy it for a fuck ton of money, which creates a disparity between wealth and power. And like, I just wanted to say that was an extra thing that I liked, that it was reflected in gameplay because those items specifically are quite expensive, and I didn't really use any of them because it's like I could just get this thing anyways, sort of thing. So
that's cool. Should we talk about our first companion that we get, Stroll?
Yeah, let's start.
Mr. Nightmare.
Get strolling around.
Yeah.
Who named him that? That's an action. That's not a name. I'm taking a stroll.
He's your standard, backup boy.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Second.
I mean,
Right man.
again, they've played into the archetypes warrior.
Yep.
He is a dude who swings his sword, and he is sort of a noble. He's literally a noble.
Yeah. A house that has fallen into disgrace and been destroyed because of Luis's,
Yeah, he has a good connection to
his personal stake in it because Luis did kill his entire family, right? So
pretty much.
it's pretty rough. And he's, I thought he's super well written. Like he is very, what you're gonna get. He's very standard, but it's very earnest, and he's loyal. He's
like the number 2 in command. He also sort of forms like the strategist almost, where he's like coming up with the plans for there's the opera house, which we didn't really talk about, but in that he's coming up with the plans for that, and then when shit goes wrong, he's sort of on the fly. Oh, we need to fix this and explain the lance or why we're here or whatever to the crowd, which I thought that was a little weird. But other than that, yeah, he's the strategy guy.
Yeah, he's a good character. I like him as I like him more than most right-hand man characters in the rest of the Atlas games.
Sure.
He's maybe one of my favorites just because he's so normal. He seems like a normal guy.
Well, he's not like a stupid anime pervert character
play up into tropes
Junpei, Yosuke, and Ryuji. They all are
I don't know why that's so necessary. Can we just not make a good?
Yeah, that was another the commendable thing. Those stupid anime moments there weren't any of these, despite Atlas's history with the Persona stuff. Are there even any? I don't think so.
I guess
there's no parts where it's boobs and it fucking shows it in your screen up close.
Hold Yuka's hand, I guess. Just
in one of her ranks. Yeah. Sure. Which also that's important to mention because there's no romance in this game, which is interesting because out of all the Persona games in this, this one maybe deserves it the most because you are becoming a monarch and they're adults, but you're also becoming a king.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that you want a person to be in the command with.
Now, is there democracy? We don't really know.
You still probably want kids as a king. I don't know.
That epilogue where you kind of discuss what the changes that are made when you inevitably defeat Luis and become king. I can't remember exactly what the ideas were, but I think that it's there is room for change in this new.
Yeah, it's not necessarily. Yeah, probably each monarch is democracy, but it's ironic that out of all the people who could have potentially became the next king, it was just the king's son again, which is silly because Hyphlodius at the end he transforms from Moor into back to his king form, and he's like, my son is prince, or my fucking son is king now. It all worked out or something. I don't know, he fucking planned it. I don't know. So that was silly. Oh no, what does he mean by that? Yeah, I don't know. Some characters I have less or more to say about them. Hulkenberg is also just a knight, and I like her role in she was a guard to the prince.
Failed assassination, so it was very distraught.
They have good ways of having each party member be in the story.
Kind of dichotomy changing when she realizes that you are the prince, the protagonist changes.
No, yeah, and she is that stereotypical retainer. I must
the veteran,
Frederick awakening.
Exactly. Yep, and you're Vander from Engage. Whatever it is.
Yeah,
Majesty, whatever for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's fun. I think. For most of these main cast of characters, all of them are good. I like basically all of them. I'd say they're all.
There's not a weak point, but to me, there's also not a standout. It's well balanced, and the story also has good ways of keeping them sort of all relevant. And usually, in each conversation in the story that happens, they each have varying things where they butt in and say something. Meanwhile, something like Persona 5, it handles that a bit less, where certain characters during certain arcs are less important than other characters. And in this, they do a better job of balancing.
It's more consistent.
Yeah.
I think Heisme is probably one of my favorite.
He's maybe my second favorite.
Supports were the strongest and the ones that I've connected.
They were the most interesting, yeah. Because you don't really get much about that tribe other than Merchant Lady, whose name I forget. But I liked her a lot also. And his stuff was it was pretty fucking sad and miserable. You're like going around trying to find a cool place to bury his son, and it's just like, nope, this place is no good because they don't like me here. Nope, this place is good because the lighting sucks or whatever his reasoning was. It was kind of brutal, but like it was good overall. You share a sake with him or whatever.
With him,
yeah,
he's a great guy. I love Iceman.
He's cool. He's got a great voice also.
Yeah, great voice actor. That they're just like great casting.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about Juna? As you know, she's kind of a twist.
She was fine. I don't know. Yeah, because you like know about her somewhat earlier than like when she initially joins. Yeah. And like I don't know. I guess maybe she was my.
That's the forehead.
Not least. If we want to go there, her.
The very first time she's introduced is through a cutscene. Right, and the cutscenes.
Was it the 2D cutscene?
Yeah.
Yeah, the 2D cutscenes. We haven't talked about this. Like I like the 3D cutscenes a lot. Yeah. Which they use the in-game models for. But like, yeah, the 2D cutscenes are usually a bit more awkward. And this is also in the Persona games also. It's weird, and it's you jump from like one frame rate to the other, and it's like it just doesn't look as good. Like the 2D cutscenes. Like I don't know why they keep doing them. Like does the 3D ones did they take much longer?
The experience. Like,
I don't know.
They're quirky and they.
I'm watching an anime right now for the next 30 seconds until it ends because they it's just weird.
Game decisions being made, so let them have their fun.
I don't know.
They definitely want to make an anime.
Yeah, and not to be tribesist or anything, but that tribe that she is looks really weird. The big fucking eye things. Yeah. It sort of disturbed me a little bit, honestly, when I was first like, because there's her and then there's Alonzo, who's the trickster dude who is also that sort of tribe. And yeah, I don't know. It's a look.
And they change, like they can change.
Yeah, she becomes really small. She's like a bug. They're like bugs. Like
child. Yeah, it's strange.
It's weird.
I like her.
It didn't really matter in the story. That only came up really in her rank. Yeah.
I liked her role in the story specifically because like.
Yeah, I like that more than say her actual character or like her rank ups, which were mostly about like some rival in the up and coming opera thing. And there was like beef between them, and like I'm burning your dress now, and it's like I'm cool with the opera. What the fuck is the term for the soap opera? It felt like that, but which is significant because she is an opera singer. So I mean, like it carries over, I guess, in that way. I don't know. But her role in the story is good. 'Cause she starts off as sort of working seemingly for Louise, and then on the Gauntlet Runner, when you infiltrate that, she fucking the protagonist is known for being a short king, is the phrase as the internet likes to put it. There's the part where she fucking on the bookcase like fucking fits up against the wall. That was a good moment.
Yeah, she is, I guess you could say, somewhat fan servicey, just in the very beginning when she's like kind of flirting with the protagonist, being like, "Oh, I'll see you later."
Maybe.
But I think
she's also playing a role at that point. She's like an actress, performer.
That stops once you actually.
She's the bard.
That she is a double agent. She's not working for Luis.
Mm-hmm.
She's
put on the front for like most of it. Yeah. So it's like forgiving of like the earlier like which weren't even that bad, like especially compared to what anime could potentially do.
She has a good reason of doing it. And so she joins your team and is a fun one.
Yeah, she's the Persona archetype, which is interesting because I think I got all of the Persona and Persona Masks and Devil Summoner fucking summons, which was interesting because it was. For the summons, it was mostly in-game monsters and enemies that you would come across, like chimeras and like whatever other things. And then sometimes you could also summon like Black Frost, which is from the Megami Tensei stuff, which is cool seeing them in there.
Mm-hmm. Just another element of the shared universe between.
Yeah, exactly. It was a fun like it's more than just a silly reference.
Fan service.
I would argue it is fan service, but it's done well in the gameplay.
So
sure,
it's somewhat different, but yeah, it's.
I liked both of those classes and how they were different in both. They were like referencing these other series of theirs with Devil Summoner and Persona.
I felt like really strong because of that.
Yeah, that was the other thing I forgot to mention. Like my endgame parties were sort of just the same. I all the ladies and then just the dude. It's like the magic is like sort of more useful, and you could just in theory just have your protagonist or even Hulkenberg do like the buffs and debuffs, and then like Yeah, because Persona Master is really useful because you just get like an entire other archetypes
And
skills
usually, like, a
equipped,
ton of
which is
really
a big
strong
deal.
elemental attacks that
Yeah,
are,
depending on
normally you're going up against at least one type of elemental weakness.
yeah,
Maybe
and you
not
get
the
sort of
bosses,
the at least fire, I remember, but I think you could also get others depending on the thing. And then yeah, Devil Summoner, the shits would cost hella MP because they were all AoE.
Yeah.
They were all AoE, but she had like one of each type, so it was just sort of universally useful.
And Yuffie has a ton of that speed just in general because
She did have way more SP. That's right
yeah,
to combat that. Yeah, yeah.
it works out. But if you're trying to use her synthesis skill, then
Yeah, it's over.
it's easy. There's to support her.
Mhm.
I guess speaking of Yuffie, how did you like her character?
I liked her okay also.
She's
Yeah,
kind of the fish out of water.
yeah, exactly. Especially through the rank up things of like, what's this religion?
Yeah.
I'm so curious now. Let's investigate
She
this.
seems like the most, in line for a romance.
You think like out of like the canon of like if it had to be like one in canon
Yeah.
and like
It
if
seems like
the
she's
manga
more
adaptation or
here
something.
for the prince/protagonist.
She's also royalty.
Yeah, she's royalty. She's a little younger than the rest of the cast, it seems like, and also
Yeah.
same size statue.
Same stature. Is the protagonist taller than her, or they're just the same height almost? Maybe
Probably same.
I couldn't tell you.
I could recall.
Yeah.
But both short. I do like her kind of role as like how she was set up to be a sacrifice and then having to obviously take agency in her own life and be like,
Yeah, which was pretty quick. That all happened at the Dragonlance thing before you get into Shinjuku, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of because you
go up against the dragon. Is it a dragon? I can't remember.
in that place there is a dragon that you fight against. It's the dragon human hybrid and then you fight that human again later on the beach somehow because it follows you on the runner or something.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
That one was kind of tough because the gimmick was that it would constantly change its affinities.
Yeah.
So, like, you never knew what you were attacking. You kind of did because you could set it up once you knew, but, like, this takes a lot of trial and error unless you were using a guide.
Yeah, which that's the other thing. Part of my problem is the characters going back to gameplay. Like the bosses, there was a lot of reuse of them. Like the apple dude you fight twice in the story,
yeah.
and then in the final area it's essentially like a gauntlet of them all. Which is that called a gauntlet? The gauntlet runner is Luis's ship, or is that just no? That's your ship. I'm getting my terms confused. But it's a boss gauntlet at the end of the thing. If you don't fight all of them, it makes the final boss harder, I think. But like I think you're meant to go after, like the game sort of wants you to tackle them all again. And it's like, there's nothing really changed. They get like a skin, their colors are different or something. And like the designs of them are really great. They're based on those, whatever paintings. Yeah. Which also, part of it specifically was in a Berserk panel also, for at least one or two of those things. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, like because you fight the apple dude 3 times in total. If you do that, I forget if there's other ones that you fight that many times. Because yeah, just like by the end of the game, it gets so like bloated by the pacing, which I don't know if we really went into. We talked about it more in the podcatchers, but like the dragon shits and like doing all those, like especially, it was the only time where I swapped. It's a nice game because it lets you switch difficulties and just go back to them and no problem. Some of them let you go down to easier difficulties, but they won't let you go back up like once you've selected it, which I get it. I understand that. But this one lets you sort of freely go about them. Maybe on the highest, it doesn't let you go back up. Maybe. But yeah, that was the only time in that by the end of like that fucking dragon fight, I literally at the level I was at, I was not able to defeat him because I timed out. He has a lot of SMT bosses. They do a thing where they like, if you don't beat them by a certain number of turns, they just do a fuck you. Come back when you have more stats, basically.
No, he's constantly erasing your buffs.
It is a cool boss though because he swaps archetypes. It's like you're fighting yourself or whatever, and it's an optional fight as well. It is like a super boss. It makes the most sense.
And that gets you some good equipment to like nullify fire damage, which is more useful as you fight the different dragons.
Yeah,
but it is a lot of work, and it's like right before the final.
Yeah, and that final stretch of the game is so long. It's 30 days, and that's the most amount of free days you've been given up to that point. And like the amount of stuff you got to do is like there's so much time in between the next story stuff. And I think if you go to that early, you miss out on free days. if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I know some of the Persona games have done that also, where it's like if you go to this person's dungeon at this point, it's like the second to last or third to last one in Persona 4. If you like do that at this day, then you just automatically skip to 2 weeks from now. So it's more beneficial to save it for the last goddamn day. I think it was similar in this one, but I can't recall exactly. It may actually no, it may not have been because it's just you do a dungeon and then by the point. I don't think it was in this game. Not that I'm remembering.
I think they are doing, they're paring down on those like non-user friendly decisions.
Yeah.
It's like if you don't know this thing, you're fucked.
Exactly.
Tough.
Old video game type stuff.
Yeah. It's like remnants of the aged left forgotten, which I'm a fan of. I don't love when they make things like necessary, like just
long for the sake of being long. Yeah.
Yeah, just vague and hard to understand without the requisite knowledge.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. But to go back to the characters, Yufa, she's all right. I like her. I guess, yeah.
And you're joined by Basilio, who's one of your main antagonists, I guess. He's also part of Louis.
Yeah, and he's also introduced much earlier to when he joins the party. And yeah, he's maybe my favorite, I guess.
I like him. I think I expected it not to like him because the way he's introduced is he's more of like, a dumb henchman character. But as you get a lot of time spent with, their perspective and a lot of time dealing with Louis and all of his machinations, which they are part of. And he's constantly sending.
Yeah, him and his brother they work for Louis along with this. There's like at least 2 other dudes. There's the Resurrected. What's that actual title of?
Zorba.
Yeah, but what's the actual title of like someone who resurrects people? Necromancer. Thank you. He's a necromancer who you fight twice maybe. So there's Zorba.
3 or 4 times.
Do you?
He's a recurring.
Because there's also a different dude with purple hair who works for him, who has the dog.
Yes.
Whose name I forget, but you fought him on the Gauntlet Runner.
You are able to punk him pretty easy. He's kind of like a
that's when you
game antagonist where you're able to like pretty quickly beat him and move on to more dangerous.
Did you fight that dude twice?
I think so.
You fight him on the Gauntlet Runner and then also before that?
When he finds out about Juna and you.
Well, that's the second time.
Yeah.
And then the first time is like much earlier or something, like in the first dungeon.
Like when you're traveling and you come across.
Oh yeah. And that's when Juna is there.
Yeah.
Gets introduced. Okay. Yeah, you're right. And then the Zorba, I think you only fight him twice though, because you fight him in the in the beginning at the end of the first dungeon, and then near the very end in the forest he summons the apple dude who you fight at the Elda place.
Okay, that could be what I'm thinking.
And then way later in the second to last dungeon, he is the final boss in that, and he has different forms and whatever. He has a cool set. He has like bones or something going on. I don't remember. It was a cool look. It was an out there accent definitely. What was it? Was it Scottish? It was a very thick something European that I don't know.
It somewhat took me out, but not really. It just didn't seem to fit his design, his character design.
No, that was also my first impression.
But Basilio and Fidelio are a lot of fun, and you get a ton of. I
totally saw where it was going to go with that of like, okay, they're going to like us now that we're spending more time with them. Eventually, they're going to be friends with us. Yeah. And also, I did expect one of them to die, and it made more sense that it would be Fidelio because he's sort of the lead one between the two of them, and it would create like a. So I did see that one coming.
It's not archetypal, but it's been done before, and it's
not a bad version of the trope. To reiterate.
And then you have your Gauntlet Runner pilot, I guess, who's less of a
Nearest, or how do you say it? Nearest.
Nearest.
He's not a party member, but he's there helping you guys. He pilots the thing. He's the group mechanic or whatever.
He's kind of like a weird.
He was all right. I don't have much to say about him. He was there when you would visit the Vistas, and his side story is like collect all these things for me, and then it's like, oh no, I lost them, and then we have them back, so let's Elder Wand this shit.
Because I liked
or whatever
the Gunner archetype route so much just for general use. I always wanted to get his supports up, but like his were locked behind,
You have to go to specific dungeons.
Well, like it's certain dates are like his stuff aren't available.
No, yeah, exactly, yeah.
So that was bumming me out because I couldn't max out to get. I don't even remember what the final
sniper.
Is it sniper?
I think so.
Yeah, but it's a cool class that, or a cool archetype, specifically just for dungeon cleaning, as we kind of said.
If you have that food specifically to get rid of them and just shoot them from afar, yeah, I
pretty.
assume that must be really good.
Um, we've already discussed more and his kind of wider.
There's still more to say about him, though. Haha.
He is just like an Igor kind of character at first.
Yeah,
He's like
where it's like, okay, we're in your brain right now, or something.
just discussing what happened to you. Why do you have these powers now, and what does it mean for you and the people around you? But then he has an interesting kind of that relationship with the book that you are reading, where he's the author of that book, and then it's like strange because you get moments where he has like amnesia and he doesn't remember he had a king that he was friends with, and then betrayed him. It's like
Yeah, I don't remember most of that stuff because it only probably happened in like one cutscene or something where it's like going over his stuff, like at the very end of the game, and then yeah, most of his ranks is just like him being like, "What is my life? This is weird. I don't know what these feelings are," which is sort of like the Velvet attendants in the Persona games. They sort of like
both.
as you he like embodies both, and like his rank ups are more like the fucking attendants. And then he's more like Igor in terms of actual like gameplay of it, and maybe story also to a certain extent. But like like the where the attendants they sort of question over the course of the rank ups are like, what even am I right now? This is weird.
Journey of self-discovery.
Yeah, exactly, type of stuff.
Yeah, very popular.
Yeah.
So we can talk about that one.
He questioned me a lot. He's the crier, is the technical term for it. I'm glad he stuck up for you also, because I really questioned like why he was in most of these scenes. Yeah, he's the crier. I guess in these historical settings, they needed people to say the news to people, and he sort of represents the common man in like this like whatever field of.
He's a representative of the church. He is.
Is he technically?
Yeah, because he's
the announcer of the like tournament.
Yeah.
He's like the host, if it had to be a term, if someone had to be it.
He's definitely
the announcer
with the church, and
it just felt sort of weird, like making a game out of. I mean, yeah, it is a game that you're playing, but it just further feels like a game that the characters are playing within it, where he's like announcing like, "Whoa, this fucking person brought a fish head to the greatest catch tournament thing. That's crazy. Wonder what the judges think of this one," like that sort of stuff. It was weird and a little off-putting, and they put a lot of emphasis on him because between a lot of story scenes they go, and it's just like he sort of just reiterates the plot to common people, which we don't need to see that really. Like it's to a certain extent, it's helpful to see what the common people think about certain characters in certain moments of the story because that comes back and eventually is more relevant closer to the end of the game, and it's obviously an important aspect of it as we discussed with the whole democracy thing and the similar subconscious whatever shits is summoning the bad things into the world to begin with. Like the common people's opinions matter, just like in our world, and he's sort of supposed to be the communicator of that things, but like the scenes that were given with him, it just feels like why am I looking at this for the next 5 minutes of him like announcing stuff?
It doesn't take too long usually.
No, but it's consistent. Like it's
always like a cut back.
Every string of cutscenes it contains him, and he's like just talking to people about random stuff. It threw me in for a loop. I guess I was weirded out and like questioning like why is he this relevant? Like he does have moments in the story like he's captured by the three-eyed people, I think, at the same time as you guys somehow, and he also helps you later in the game escape from crowds of people where he shows up on your fucking runner. He gets up there and he's like, guys, follow me, I know an escape route. It's like, if he could get up there, what's stopping everybody else from just like climbing up it? That didn't make sense to me. And yeah, he fulfills his role in like those two ways, and by the end he's sort of he reminded me of Mishima in Persona 5, where he's at the end of the game he's helping rally people towards the protagonist's name as like they're in the like final stretch of things, like we need to support this person.
Yeah, I
sort of thing.
Him, I think more than you did, just because like
he just weirded me out. Like, why is this?
Yeah, I
get it though.
Into it a little more where it's just like he is essentially your window into the popular
exactly
consensus on you, and so yeah, it does, I guess, needlessly take you out because like essentially where you stand. You're constantly having a number that shows your popularity.
And you can check it in game sometimes, and you get like the whatever material from
for
that.
the most part, it just goes up with the
story anyways. Yeah, and like when you reach a certain level of it, you just can't get like to the you can't get any higher basically. So it's like
because you get up to
because there's like optional stuff that'll raise that, but they don't really matter because by the end of the game you're just gonna be at the whatever spot anyways. But I think doing that will get you the extra points earlier. I think is the purpose of that. So yeah.
But I thought he's just kind of fun to gauge the world's reaction to your actions, and the rest of the kind of support cast and like whoever you have to build up your bonds with are pretty solid throughout. I don't know if any super stood out to me
Outside of the party.
Yeah,
I like the merchant lady. She had pretty eyelashes.
Yeah. Also,
she didn't like having a pet in her living space, or she was embarrassed by it. She did like it deep down.
Like, they fucking killed it.
Shit went down.
The church killed the dog and framed like a nearby village.
Mm-hmm. And she went there to be like, "Hey, did you fuck up my dude?" Yeah.
And then she's like, "Wait, no, I'm being, they
needlessly brash,
I'm being manipulated essentially by the church." And so she goes back, and then the church kills the village, and then sends the traumatized children from that village to go
to her, and they rally again. It's a weird manipulated thing where the church is trying to get rid of both of them, and so it's like they have one plan to have one get rid of the other, and then that fails, so they're gonna have the other get rid of the first one. Which is interesting, and it just further plays into like this shit is ass. This church people. There's also Rella from the church also. Who is what is her name? Juna's sister. Half sister sort of
kind of relationship.
And that part of the game was very interesting where it's like it was already so super convoluted and so much plot shit happening, and now it's like, okay, Forden is dead, now the council is electing Rella, who like you've been introduced to a bit before, and like I'm fine with her being a character.
She's like a good character up until the point that she's not
revealed to not be or something. Like, it's weird. It's super sudden.
It's like a twist 5 out of like the course of like big twists that happen all around.
No, I know. And so the church council elects her to be the next saint person, or she's already a saint, but they elect her to be the next representative leader person in the tournament. Did the tournament stopped by that point?
No,
or it was still going.
Forden died.
Yeah,
because Louis killed him.
Yeah,
like they had to be like, well,
oh shit,
we need a representative.
Yeah, exactly. So that's her, and then it's weird because she introduced. It's the same scene where like Louis breaks the rules of he convinces the king to posthumously switch the rules of the game, I guess, through magic or whatever he's doing. And then he does that, and then he comes out to be like, I have Elden blood, or I have like royal blood or something to the people.
Elden blood, yeah. He was never royal, I don't think, but he was
the protagonist.
He knew about Hythlodaeus falling in love with an Elven girl and then having a child and a wife.
Oh, Louis was.
Louis was there, but then when
he was there, he saw it go down. He was in the bedroom.
Kill the whole Elven village, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the reason why
which fueled his motivation of like, that's fucked up. That's my people. They're doing that too.
And that's why he heads it out for Hythlodaeus, because he wasn't doing anything about it. Like
he was sitting on his ass like, I'm cool with that. I'll just impregnate one of them and move on.
Then like, oh, my life is over. I will do nothing to combat the people who have ruined my life. It's like, okay, I guess the pressure takes many forms. It's clearly a cheap example of just shutting down, but it does make him less sympathetic to Sansa.
But anyways, Rella it's in that entire scene where it's like now suddenly she's the leader, and she's like, I am challenging you to battle, and we must go to this place to do it. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess that's the next main objective we need to do over the next couple of weeks or so or whatever. But it's no, you just immediately go there. in the story, and it's no, I know it's instant. You immediately go there and you immediately fight her once you're there. There's no like exploration that takes place beforehand. It's just that you were in this location and there's a boss battle now.
It's just through cutscene, which is like, oh, this is.
It feels like a second thought, like it feels, or like an afterthought. It feels like being shoehorned in.
Wise, it is
very
strange that she suddenly wants to fight you in order to like.
Yeah,
I can't even remember the justification.
And it does a weird like sympathetic angle at the end where it's like you fight her and then she's like, I was manipulated also by the church also for the billionth time. No, I like her design a lot.
Yeah.
It's
people were very cool.
Mm-hmm. And like her implementation, her role was just like. It does remind me of other anime video games where you have the sympathetic villain thing where it's like super, it feels shoehorned in and it's very rushed and there's like not a whole lot of like those types of redemption stories. They require a lot to go into them and like they require a lot of time, like investment to like make it good. And this is like, it's fucking 5 minutes of like, here's why you like this person now, hopefully. And if not, then it was just one boss fight and half a cutscene was taken up by it earlier. And then now this last one, so that was weird.
Definitely added to the convolution and also just the how dragged on it got towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
That in addition to the final dungeons with the dragons, in addition to
exactly. It was right before all that.
It's like it all kind of coalesced where the ending was maybe not as strong as the beginning.
I would argue, yeah.
Not to mention, not saying it's a bad game, obviously. Everything we love about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely something to know. Something else I loved, and a character I loved would be Maria. I thought she was a great character.
Better than the other young girls that you hang out with in the Persona games.
She reminded me most of from Persona 4, Nanako.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
in a good way.
Those characters.
Yeah, who I was referring to was the Persona 3 character. Who wasn't she Marie? Well, not really. But was her name also like Marie or something? Or am I dumb? That Marie is Persona 4, but what was the name of the Persona 3 girl? Because Maria is the character in this, and she had a similar name. I don't know, whatever. It was more Japanese actually sounding. It wasn't the same. But anyways, she's Maria is a good character. I cared more about her mom, who isn't biologically her. The whole time I was just like, why can't I hang out with this hot dog lady? She is too fun.
But I like getting your map pictures and sending them to Maria, and, telling her about the world. I guess her.
Oh yeah, the paintings.
Her supports are a little flimsy, where it's like. Oh, racism.
It's lower stakes. It's still about the racism and stuff, but it's on the standards of like their children. It's still important for like their lives and like the life of everyone around. Like it affects like if your society is like the children are racist at that age, and it's just going to carry through.
Whatever is learned at childhood is going to impact what.
Yeah, and it's like lower stakes than say Basilio's, where it's like my friend with PTSD is turning evil. He's turning like from the same like shitty place that he grew up in and stuff like that. It's like a different
and revolution.
No, but I like how you could get like they're not just all the same like in tone. Like you get this one which is quite different. And it's mostly just about the kids like. And by the end of it, it's like I made a friend. Aren't you proud of me or whatever? And it's like man. Yeah. Hell yeah.
I guess one support that kind of stood out to me, I don't know if it was for good reasons, is Barden's quest.
He was an interesting character because it's like
I liked that arc of the story where like it was very.
I forgot. Yeah.
But like it was cool that it was actually
for High's midsection, which
baby.
If we could derail that for a second, because I forgot to say this. There's this. I don't think I mentioned it because I didn't want to spoil it in the podcatchers thing. But there's a moment where she's a baby murderer. She's a child murderer essentially because she's feeding children to this baby human, which is really fucked up and weird and like kind of creepy.
It's pretty dark.
Yeah,
some of the darkest parts.
Yeah, and then it's a super huge plot convenience where she's like, I will admit to everything, and it's like for the characters to trust her on that is like a pretty damn huge deal, which it's like anime power friendship. It's like whatever, she'll be fine. But the most fucked up thing that happens involving all of that is that the nurse on the Gauntlet Runner falls asleep, and then he wakes up, and the characters are like, "Wait a minute, where did they go? They better not have ran off on us." And then they come back, and it was revealed that they were on the runner already for a while. And she specifically says that she was taking a bath on your fucking Gauntlet Runner, the same space that you use to clean your own body. The child murderer also was using that. Like I feel weird. Like, am I weird for like caring about that? Like, you are bathing in our private space, you child murderer. Like, what the fuck? To me, that felt weird, and I'm sure most people playing didn't care, and they just kept pressing.
No, it comes with the territory of it being, a fantasy game and like a very
it felt like an anime thing of like, we're not going to care like the fact that this is weird. It's just we're going to pretend like it's normal. That's what anime does best. It gives you very weird things and it pretends that it's normal, and eventually anime fans think that the things that it treats normal in anime should be the normal in the real life, but that's not how it should be.
No need to get so real on this.
Well, when we're talking about fantasy versus reality in a video game, I mean, it's think about it. Anime fans get on that shit. So that rubbed me the wrong way, and I was just like, why? In our bath, our communal fucking where we clean ourselves, the child murderer. Like, I don't know. Were you cool with that when that happened? You were like, that makes sense.
I think that didn't stick out to me, that part specifically, but I did like that whole moment where...
Oh, sure, where it's like lost and then, I'm right here.
Where you go, oh no, I wonder if she'll show up. What would happen if she didn't? That would be so terrible. Yeah, it's like...
Sure. The whole moment was silly.
Yeah. I don't know if I liked Borden's support just because he seemed like he took...
It was interesting, and it was broken up by a boss, human boss who was optional. And yeah, it was an interesting one because that boss was kind of tough because the time you get introduced to it, you're like way at a point where you're probably underleveled. Because I remember coming back to that like a couple times and just getting dicked for a little bit.
Come back to Borden's quest for a while.
Yeah.
The requirement for his was... Actually, no.
It's quite high.
Couldn't figure out how to start the mission.
Oh, really?
Which is why I...
Oh, yeah. Don't you talk to him and then he sends you there? Yeah.
Exactly.
That might have actually taken me a minute also.
Do it through... Like, I thought I would...
The menu.
Like
in the world map, it would show you, like, go here and then defeat the thing.
Normally you get, like, a notification if, like, someone wants to talk to you. Or, like... You
right. That's for, like, ranking them up, though.
But I guess this one you had already ranked up and you just needed to actually go through with the quest. And I never knew how to start it, so...
No, yeah, I get that.
I looked it up, like, later. I think, overall, the cast is really good and believable. I like how, the entire story is more grounded and more, like, mature, I guess is the word. I
would say that maybe, I guess,
it's handled a little more, consistently and tonally, coherently, because that is like some of the times in the Persona games, it's like the dichotomy between
they go more into the slice of life of things.
God, man.
And I'm usually cool with that dichotomy there, and like I'm cool with games when they can handle both sort of things. And that, I don't know, I think it's cool if a God Slayer can fucking be bad at flirting with women on the beach. Like, why not? The actual scene itself fucking sucks. But like the fact that is a character trait of somebody, like I'm completely cool with that. If that's the thing that the story wants to emphasize, just do it well, which it didn't. But like it had that, which I'm okay with the idea of that, is what I'm saying. And yeah, this game avoids all of that. There's no beach episode. There's no sauna. No hot springs where they go. And when you do the hot springs enough times, the lads join with you, like Heisman, Stroll, and I think Basilio also. Just hang out with you on that randomly, or after doing it a certain amount of times, which is nice.
Yeah, it's a great cast. I really grew to enjoy them a lot throughout the good time. Strong writing for all of them. Yeah,
I'm trying to think. Like, there's Alonzo. We briefly mentioned he's like the trickster. He fakes his death and then comes back.
Yeah, his
fine.
Was like
it was interesting
to take out of a bond. It's like it seemed like he was doing the right thing, right? Like, but then it's like, oh, never scam, never lie, because that's always bad. And it will
He's
be
doing it for the
bad.
benefit of like, but like that's to me, which we haven't touched on, like the some of the reason why I like this party comparatively to like other ones is the party is lying to the world about like their goals and stuff for like the most part, but they're lying in like for the betterment of society and the world at large, which I think is an important part to emphasize because usually it's like everything for similar parties and different like similar stories. It's much more like we must I don't know always tell the truth or something, but like the balance of the two of them, in my opinion, is quite important, and it's okay for certain lies as long as the end goal is like good, which for these characters in this game I think they hit quite well. Obviously with that there's sometimes where maybe that's not so good. It just depends a lot.
Alonso specifically, I'm running through his.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah.
Essentially, he's a con man, right? And he's making money
Yeah.
in order to like buy back his town, which is under the ownership of a really corrupt person,
Yeah.
a corrupt landowner. And so he's making money, but then he is found out, and the landowner kills his family and burns down his village. And then everyone blames Alonso because the landowner, I guess,
Well, he's like, this is their fault for some reason. I forget.
stealing money from me or whatever in order to buy back the village.
Yeah, it was like a line about that.
And now burned down to the ground, and they're pissed off at Alonso enough so that he
manipulated the story enough to be that. Yeah, it's a fake death somehow that happens,
but
but it's. I know that's what I'm saying that.
his mother. And
That's what
burned down
that's
his
what I'm
village.
confused about.
Dude,
Also,
dude,
it's
that
like,
was strange.
and you in the last rank or the second to last rank or whatever, you hang out with the fucking dude who helped
I know.
commit his murder.
Did all of this crime.
And it's like
Literally
it was
working
good.
against-
Hey, Alonso left you this cash.
Yeah.
He wanted. It feels weird
It seems
and like
incredibly
tonally
weird.
inconsistent.
Yeah.
If we are recalling that correctly, which I think I assume you are. I trust you more than I do.
I remember.
Or than I do
Stuck out to
myself
me
on
so
this.
much because it seems very the themes of his support rank is very at odds with the rest of the story.
Yeah.
It just seems very strange.
Yeah, like it feeds into the lies for maybe good things,
Yeah.
sort of
It
thing.
seems
But
like
it
he
sort of
was
goes
like-
backwards
it's
on
like,
that.
a Robin Hood kind of story.
Exactly.
Except instead of Robin Hood, saving people, he just dies and his family is killed and his town is burned down. Like, okay, strange.
Yeah, there's him, Barton again. Like he was just like this basic ass dude. Like his story was interesting a little bit, where
He was like cop.
he's
just like
he's
a
fighting
cop.
sort of for control,
Yeah.
or like the mayor with the evil child murderer who bathed in our thing
He becomes
left.
so cartoonishly like authoritarian.
Yeah, he's like a really bad leader. So he's coming to senses of like, oh, there needs to be multiple people in charge of certain things, and if one person who has this specialty is working on all of a sudden all these other fields, it's like going to be worse than different people relegated to that. Is sort of what it's getting at, but yeah, it is cartoonish.
He has been.
No, I know, and he's
Yeah. And it has been a part of this. Like,
he's just kind of dumb
yeah,
about stuff,
just
which doesn't
a
make sense.
Random 180 that doesn't really make sense against the rest of his characterization, and then it's quickly reversed in the final like 2 bombs supports, and then the antagonist that his rival is all of a sudden being like, actually no,
We're friends now, or whatever.
Barton is a much better person than me. He knows what to do.
Yeah, whatever.
I thought you were like super corrupt and power hungry. Change like that, especially.
He wants to play. He's gonna still hold the power, just in the background.
It's like, oh, he was scared because the human attacked and he couldn't know how to deal with it. It's like, I don't know if that would stop a character like him from, just staying in power and maybe, exploiting Barton to try and have him run most things. But, well, it's anime, it's fantasy, it's utopia.
Yeah, you could say that. So yeah, Barton, Schmartin. There's Katarina, who's pretty cool. Her ranks are probably the most missable, I think, because you have to do a side quest in the first dungeon to get her rank 1, and then the other 2, 3, and 4 are Gauntlet Runner. You have to fight against her,
So you have
and
to
when
path your way to.
yeah, if you do all the extra stuff, you'll get that anyways. But like you have to make sure you get those, and then after that, you reach the one city that has the opera house, I think. And then from there, that point on, she's you have to hang out with her. Her ranks are about, she's sort of a leader or the leader of her tribe.
Which are frowned upon. It's the dog animal.
They're rabbits, bunnies.
It's like all of them.
I don't remember what they were doing. There's,
people.
yeah.
But yeah, they're one of the most discriminated towards races or tribes in addition to the emblems, and they are trying to figure out how they would go about ruling the world. Like if they were able to achieve the kingdom and the crown, what would they do about that? And she seems like she has a hard time with the responsibility.
Yeah, exactly.
And is more comfortable, being more of a role model and a community leader as opposed to running everything, which it's explained, I guess, well through the supports. But it's like, I don't know, you don't sell yourself short.
No. Yeah, and
should have had a different representative instead of the prince, literally the heir to the throne.
At Floatius the Fifth, like, I planned this all along, my son. We're gonna make everybody pretend that we're gonna get them to vote for him, but it was also just all along.
Nepotism. It always.
Let's say to Hollywood right now.
Yep.
But anyways, the fucking. Yeah, and we touched upon it lightly earlier, but like as you rank up with people, they give you varying degrees of things from when the archetype ranks. You get like the higher degrees of that, but also they get different things like Barden and the Merchant Lady. They like send you stuff or something. Alonzo, I forget. He lets you negotiate. You get better prices at stores, I think. And Katarina, she like shows up in the dungeons. She's sort of like an honorary party member where like sometimes when you go to dungeons and stuff, she'll just show up at the front and be like, hey, I'm here. And then randomly in battle, sometimes when you start them, she'll just deal a fuck ton of damage, which is helpful for the bounties.
You stack it with whatever, you break them in the overworld, then you get that chunk of damage in addition to her.
Exactly.
So, like,
some of the bounties, it would be like half their health gone, and it would just like save so much time.
Also, if you were ever trying to grind Elementus, it's very.
Oh yeah. I might have done that. Might have come across one of those with her. Yeah, that's true.
I thought she was a very strong kind of support to, because she also had like map but benefits to like while you're in the dungeons and other.
Oh yeah, it'll point out like enemies and stuff. Was that her?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
or like chests.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Just generally useful stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the.
When you're spending a hell of time in the dungeons, it helps if you make combat easier. Yeah.
I guess a lot of the bond perks or benefits are just like unlocking new archetypes.
Yeah.
Or the main, like your main playable.
And then there's various outside of that.
Yeah. Which I think for the most
they balance it well. There's 8 ranks compared to Persona's 10.
Yes. So it's not as in depth, but I think that means it's less to get.
Yeah, there's like less ranks where you get nothing.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I think it's all balanced pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
You're obviously not like maxing out a bond at the very beginning because the requirements at each stage really.
Yeah.
So it's paced very well throughout that. Yeah, I thought. Just a good cast of characters throughout.
Yeah, then we're missing like fucking
like
the lesser important ones. Were there any other social link people? I think we got all of them. If we forgot, they're super not important and they don't matter. And if they're your favorite, then we're not sorry. Actually, bad take. You now borrowed our opinions of you don't care about them anymore. And yeah, I don't know if we have anything else to say about the game. The music's nice. It looks very nice. The menus, Atlas is known for menus in the modern day with Persona 5, and 3 Reload also is really good menus that you navigate through, which in a video game where you spend a lot of time in those menus is the UI is pretty important. And so it's good in that way.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to keep track of. Yeah, I think it was just a solid game throughout. It's hard to rank it amongst, the Personas or SMT.
No, yeah.
I feel like I've liked basically
them all the same.
They're very similar.
Yeah,
like
the same.
It's hard to choose a favorite or like stand out bad one.
Yeah, I think I like this one slightly less because the mainline SMT games they like they focus more a little bit on the combat and dungeon exploration thing. And I'm a super huge fan of the demon, like I said earlier, the fusions and the getting of them. I love that, and this game is missing out on that. But what it has in replacement of that, the archetypes, is still quite nice. But the mainline SMT games do that quite well, and they mostly exist with a little bit less. So, like, it doesn't matter as much in the Persona games, but you could still make like broken ass things if you want for fun. Yeah, and the scheduling of like planning out like day to day, like each day matters a bit more in those. But this is a really excellent and really cool in between of both of those, while implementing all these other Atlas title SMT sub-series various things.
Something maybe more accessible to general audiences, especially because
in general to the main series, yeah.
Because it's not, attached to 7 other games.
No, yeah, exactly. It's an entry point where you just go in and go from there.
Yeah. Enjoy solid writing throughout, pretty compelling narrative, and good conflicts.
Yeah.
Regardless of how
convoluted it is. Some convoluted thing. I mean, we complain about all the things worth complaining about, convolutions and pacing issues near the end, and various other things.
But overall, just a good game, and
it's solid.
I don't know. We've really said how much we like the but like I love this combat stuff.
Yeah, same.
It's like, regardless of how different it is from Persona or SFT, it's just like it is really satisfying. It makes the actual minute to minute gameplay all that more enjoyable. So definitely just a great game. Solid.
Yeah, same. I feel the same way about that thing. I would give it an 8 out of 10 for a video game ranking.
I would agree. I think I have it as an 8 out of 10.
Hell yeah. Well, that's all we got for this time. I guess we'll keep you guys waiting on whatever we cook up next. Wink, wink. We'll keep you waiting. We'll keep them waiting, won't we? To paraphrase.